Hello, and welcome to the Stream of Chaos. My name is Dave, and I'll be your keeper of arcane lore for this session of Call of Cthulhu. I hope you enjoyed Jim and the rest of the cast's holiday nonsense, as we're now and it's on YouTube, I think, or it will be shortly. Is it on YouTube currently, Jim?
It is on YouTube currently, yes.
Even better, fantastic. Well, now we're returning to our previously scheduled nonsense. With the Order of the Stone, which we are picking back up into chapter 2 of 3, and continuing the story told so far. All of our episodes are collected over on the YouTube channel, and if you are watching there and you want to join us live, we do stream each Friday on Twitch. And you can get your own copy of the Order of the Stone over at chaosium.com. I want to say thank you to Roll20 for being a tool which we're using throughout this campaign. And I want to give a little recap of what's happened so far, set the scene of where we're at and what's about to occur, and then I'll kick it back across to our charming cast to introduce each of their investigators and set the scene. Previously we met our crew of the FV Foggy Sea when they were hired to sail out to the dormant or silent SS Champagne, a massive cruise liner sailing across to Boston from Dublin, which had gone silent in a recent storm. Coming aboard, you found just despair, almost everyone killed, and the presence of some strange monster haunting the hold. Only a few survivors are present, one a complete mad axeman, and the other a woman going by a false name who ultimately identified herself as a cultist, a member of the Order of the Stone, and someone sworn to protect the world from the monster that dwells in the hold beneath. The creature appeared to have been released by what's the word I'm looking for? Colleague of your employer being Dr. Abram Bethnal, and the colleague, the person who released it being a man called Dr. Nicholas Sebastian, who had conducted a ritual releasing this being called Agran out into the hold and basically sacrificing the entirety of the ship to it. You also got the impression that Dr. Sebastian has made his own escape. Fortunately, demolition skill came in handy, as it does in every campaign, and saved the day, and you blew up the whole boat and sent it to the bottom of the ocean. We'll not get into the specifics. Everyone barely survived. I think there was 2 luck and 1 hit point to spare by the end, and you all sailed happily home ever after, putting it out of your mind and returning to the peaceful life of the sea. The only niggling thought that just wouldn't quite leave was, hey, that ritual thing we saw, that said there were 3 of these urns, and that after every 30 days, the time would be right to release another, and I'm pretty sure they didn't release another one earlier, so checking your watch, that'd be about now. 3 weeks have passed. You've returned to your work for the most part, although keeping your eyes open to the goings-on in fair Massachusetts is where Boston is, I think. Yep, thank you. Getting a big nod from a couple of the cast members. Returning, to your life at sea.
I was just expecting to say fair Verona. I was like, come on, Dave, do it.
That'd be not
Very different story.
totally out of
Yeah,
character
somehow
twist.
we've gone from America to Italy real quick.
Eldritch blood
Hey, you got
leaves
both.
fishy hands unclean.
You've returned to your work and you've been keeping an eye out for things that might be happening. Some of you actually committed a spell that you've learned to knowledge, knowing that, should you be in the right place at the right time, you might be able to defend yourselves and protect others once again. So as I said, 3 weeks have passed, and just recently another storm has begun to wash across the shore. It was Mr. Garrett who, keeping an eye on the nearby papers, learned of a murder in nearby Greyport in which the name Marco Torres was dropped, this being one of the gentlemen that was supposed to have died aboard the SS Champagne, employed by Dr. Nicholas Sebastian. It would seem that your cultists have at least somewhat resurfaced, and there may be more information to be discovered. Where we pick up, the FV Foggy Sea is just coming around a heavy cove and heading in towards Greyport. It's a pretty small town, doesn't really have a tourist trade, and it mostly just survives on the sea and on some sort of local businesses. You've probably worked here before, particularly Bernie, the captain, and first mate Garrett, where you would have just come in here to repurchase supplies or things, or possibly base out of it for doing some sailing. in the area, but you've never spent like a lot of time here, and you don't exactly know the locals, although the harbour master, Joseph Sullivan, may be familiar to you. You'll know that you'll be able to keep your boat in the dock for as long as you wish, and there's also a bed and breakfast that you can head into as well. You have this newspaper article which details the recent murder as a starting point, but beyond that, everything's completely in your hands. I'll pass it around the table to each introduce your investigators in the context of the ship now coming into port, and I guess kind of consider how have you developed in these 3 weeks away. During our last session, the first chapter, we were kind of like escalating. Each introduction was things have gotten worse, things have gotten way worse, things have gotten worse than we expected, but now you've had a bit of breathing room, and whether the characters wish it or not, the players have chosen to continue and drag the characters into it, so why have they come back? I guess we'll kick off with Art, please.
Hi, I'm Art, and I am playing Luce McAllister with an accent I haven't practiced in about 5 weeks, so we'll see how long it takes for it to break real good or how long it takes to come back. So bear with me while we find our way back into that nice little comfy spot. Luce has spent the last 3 weeks kind of like, I don't want to say in the books, because I don't think that's what like mechanics necessarily do. There's a lot more practicalness to it, but has been spending a bunch of time getting like refamiliarizing themselves with their welding work, probably doing a couple of like helping to repair the Foggy Sea after its battering that it got out on the storms, and maybe doing a little bit of like reinforcement here or there with the approval of the captain, of course. And has really kind of taken to the fire axe that kind of like their previous, if I remember correctly, is this, yeah, my treasured possession previous, and I think still is, but my treasured possession is an old bone-handled pocket knife. So I feel like it is not unreasonable to say that Luce's treasured possessions tend to be pointy and or sharp and or dangerous.
Yep.
So definitely is developing an attachment to this fire axe that got them through a rather nasty point, and has also taken some time to practice giving that an old swing around, to just kind of, you know, is pretty good at punching things and doing a quick shank, but the weight was just a little bit unwieldy to begin with, so they've given themselves some time to get used to the heft and the weight and the change of momentum that it creates, and has gotten not amazingly proficient at it, but definitely more proficient with it than they were before. Otherwise, it has just kind of been doing a job on the boat with Bernie. Already made the decision to stick with Bernie and continue the work no matter what. And, you know, likes the sea, doesn't like the idea there's a big monster in the sea. Hasn't really thought about it all that much, probably intentionally. But yeah,
do you think there's is there a level of like, because I mean, you mentioned you've really focused in on learning a weapon, whether conscious or, you know, beneath that, do you think Luce is working on like being able to defend her companions and kind of working on like well, if we go into this, we're going to be prepared and I'm not going to let anything get the jump on us? Or
I think Luce is a very practical person. I know Luce is a practical person because Luce is in my head and I can just ask her, hey Luce, what's up? Practical person, great. So I'm gonna, it is not that thought through. Luce has picked up an axe, has gone, this was useful in a situation. I want to be more proficient so it is more useful in a situation like that in future. Obviously, there's an element of the only reason we get into a situation like that in future is if there is danger and I need to protect people. But I don't think that that's like, there's no active decision in that direction. It's just, Luce likes to be good at the tools that they have at their disposal, and this fire axe is now another tool that they have
Sure.
at their disposal.
Very sensible.
Definitely, there's an element of as well self-reliance. Being able to just get stuff done themselves without needing to lean on other people. So again, being effective with something is good.
Makes sense.
But yeah, there's almost certainly something subconscious, but Luce is not thinking about that in a, I need to protect people, so I'm going to learn how to do this. Just like, big axe. Didn't feel good to wield before, want that to feel better in future. Go practice.
When the subconscious becomes conscious, we'll check back in. We'll kick back across
the idea
now.
of Luce collecting bladed weapons as their treasured possessions. Just keep adding
I
it
think
to the
that
list.
given that we haven't actually seen Luce's insanity proc yet, I feel like that leans very nicely into a lot of what Luce likes to repress a lot of emotions.
Really let
and when
him
you do
rip.
that, sometimes they come out as actions.
Oh yeah. All right. We'll kick it across now to Jackson.
Oh, hey, that's me. I'm Jackson, and I'm playing Gasper Green, the cabin boy / wizard of the boat, who didn't really have a strong job on the, what's it called? The
Foggy
fishy
sea.
Foggy sea, not the fishy sea. Didn't really have a strong job on the foggy sea. Was very happy just hanging out in his hammock reading books, and now we got a magic book. And that's kind of where he's going to turn his attention. He found a spell, an honest to goodness spell, and didn't really feel like looking at it at the time because of where my sanity was at. But now, having spent some time away from the horrors that we found in that cruise ship, would be interested in subscribing to this newsletter.
Yeah, so you found, during your previous adventure, you found what appeared to be a fragment of a larger scroll. And contained within it was this spell which would allow you to create a ward to repel the foul horror that lurked in the depths. Now, last time you didn't actually get an opportunity to really see the horror too much. You saw it and then you went mad and ran. That was it. You didn't get a chance to just cast spells and fight it. So you haven't seen it in action yet, but putting your mind to it, you have memorized it and prepared it for yourself. Now, you haven't done the first casting, which is always a power roll, so there's a chance things go very, very wrong when you decide that you need to.
I did forget about that.
But you do
Got a
have
power
it.
of 40.
Yeah, well, hey, that should just keep things all the more interesting. And Jackson, you can always just spend luck to get that down, obviously, and your luck is...
I could. My luck that we've just refreshed for the new session is 25. And starting on 29 sanity...
Feeling good about it.
27 sanity. It just doesn't bode well
No.
for anyone.
You know what? It's good to have all the tools in your arsenal. Why do you think Gaspar sort of stayed aboard out of curiosity, or because you still have to ride out the summer with Grandma?
Well, yeah, that it'd be kind of a pain to get away, but also there's a drive not to get away because Gaspar's seen things now that he can't explain to anyone else but the people who are the crew of the Foggy Sea. So that's a pretty good reason to stick around.
Very good. Oh, fantastic. We'll go across next to Jim.
Excellent. Yes. So I'm playing Paul, the lovable, nice first mate. I went a little insane last scenario, and my response was to try my very, very best to help out the monster and direct it where it needed to go and say, look at all these yummy investigators, you should have a bite out of them. I feel pretty bad about that. So I've been trying to, reverse that image. I've been living off luck and the idea that everything's kind of going to be okay, and so I've hardened up over the time that we've had off, and I've taken the $200 that we got paid, and I've bought myself a brand new Norton motorcycle. And I've been tearing up and down the countryside in any of the spare hours I've got. It's doing good. I'm becoming a bad boy very, very slowly.
Did you have any money left over for a leather jacket?
You know what? My original idea was to buy a car, but I just nowhere close. We did not get enough money to buy even the cheapest car, even if I used all of my personal money. So I've got this lovely motorcycle, which looks more like a modern electric bike. I think probably go at a rip roaring, 10 miles per hour, with my hair almost rustling in the breeze.
As you're overtaken by a child on a tricycle.
Exactly.
If your hair's giving you trouble, maybe you need to get like one of those flip combs.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, so I think I've lent hard into that whole thing. I actually I think I've been trying to reinvent myself a little bit, which is why I was reading the paper, which is why I saw the article, which is why I shared it, and I think that I probably said I'll meet you guys there. Then went and got my helmet and my shoulder pads and my knee pads and got on my motorbike.
And then got on the boat. That was just you getting the bike's nothing to do with it.
I'm making a little like 2-word or 2-phrase note for everyone's character for this next one, and Paul is just midlife crisis.
Yeah, exactly. For a Call of Cthulhu investigator, it's probably a 98.9% life crisis.
Fantastic. All right, Grease or Garrett, let's go. Exciting. We'll go across finally to Alex playing our captain.
Hello, I'm Alex, and I'm playing Bernie Green, captain of the Foggy Seas. And it's been nice while it lasted, a little bit of peace, I guess. But in that time, Bernie has put a little bit of money aside, so bumped my credit rating, which, aside from demolitions and sleight of hand, might be the most useful skill in Call of Cthulhu is your credit rating. So I bumped that one a little bit. Also been thinking about that explosion on the ship, and it was a little bit messy. It could have been cleaner. Maybe been reading up and asking around about how to blow things up a little better, maybe. Just maybe. And definitely also taking some tips on how to punch more goodly from loose, because that last bit of like launching myself onto somebody's back and like having to basically claw at their eyes felt a little bit undignified, and it would be much nicer if I could just cold block somebody with a bit of effectiveness. So all in all, it's nice been having to have a quiet couple of weeks. We're back on the seas now, and for some reason, the vast majority of my young-ish crew have decided that they would like to look into this murder of somebody who was meant to be already dead, and honestly, I was happy to leave him that way, but one thing I won't leave is my crew, I guess. So we're going to this fishing town with a murder connected to the worst week of all of our lives for some reason.
Yeah,
I'm here because they're here.
That's what I was going to ask. Last time we went, Captain Green made it pretty clear that the priority was the safety of the crew and nothing more. And yet here we are again, sailing into yet another harbour, wherein surely more madness lies. I reckon what we'll get is, Jim, can I actually get you to read out the article first of all, if you have it displayed handily? I should have shared that with each of you. And then I might cut to the four of you in the cabins of the Foggy Sea making a little plan. It feels a lot like a school trip where Captain Green's like, you're allowed to do this, but everyone's with someone else, and we're going to meet at the diner for lunch, and no funny business. Alright, we'll kick it to Jim
everybody
first.
back on the ship at sundown, buddy system.
Yep. So the Arkham Gazette, murder in Greyport. Authorities in the coastal town of Greyport, Massachusetts are investigating the murder of a man previously thought to have perished during the SS Champagne tragedy off Boston Harbor a few weeks ago. Mr. Marco Torres, late of Arkham, was allegedly stabbed in the chest in a secluded field behind the town's general store. The weapon that inflicted the fatal wound is reported to have been a wide-bladed, double-edged knife. The local sheriff, Ethan Barrett, was quoted as saying, "It's a real shame Mr. Torres survived that terrible ordeal at sea only to be murdered." When asked asked if a suspect had been apprehended or if the people of Greyport should fear for their safety, Sheriff Barrett replied, "We have no reason to believe that whoever killed Mr. Torres remained in the area. There is no danger to the citizens of Greyport." Locals seemed less convinced, and tensions are running high. Mr. Jacob Linden, a local deckhand, said, "We will find whoever did this and make sure they hurt no one else in our town."
All right, and that's the article you have to go on. I want to say, I think Mr. Barrett's, the sheriff's comment is hilarious. You survived the champagne only to get murdered in my town. Like, damn, that does suck. You're right about that, sheriff.
Yeah, and it's real like, it's a real shame, long pause. No, it's a real shame that he got murdered is what I mean, not that, yeah.
But I have to do anything.
But criminals don't stay in the area, right? There's no chance of still around.
Come on down to the local flower festival next week. Things will be normal, we swear. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to kick it to the four of you to put a little plan together. I'm also going to move everyone across to a map of Greyport, which will just give you a little bit of a sense for what we're looking at here. So actually, first of all, what I'll do is I'll show the camera, the viewers that is. So this is Greyport, so you can see some of the local buildings and things, and basically all of these will very quickly become known to you. You can ask around and find them, and Bernie and Paul, you've actually been here before too, so you have a bit of a sense for what's going on. So as you approach and head below deck to have one last discussion before I come in and put a bit of a plan together. I'll also state that Annie, the young diver that was traveling with you and did come to the SS Champagne, with her $200, she was able to get her training, and she has departed. She's not with you, but still in your employ is Mr. Joe Evans, so a fifth member of your crew, very capable deckhand who can be assigned tasks and is kind of also along for the ride. And Bernie kind of has your trust, who's a pretty capable man, so he is still with you as well. All right, I'll pass it to the four of you to put a bit of a plan together and let me know what you want to do first. It's early afternoon, just after lunch.
While we're planning that, Dave, could you figure out uploading an image for my bike onto Roll20?
Yeah, sure. I'll do that. You guys put the plan together.
Yeah.
What was your bike called? Can you put it in the chat?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So, do we actually have a plan about how we're going to approach this? I mean, I guess just ask around
Jackson,
town.
I'm pretty sure, drawing the bike.
What's a bike look like?
It's a Norton motorcycle is the point. Anyway, do we just, I guess...
Are you calling it Norton?
That's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. We got a murder to solve. We can sort out bike naming the other part later. But, if it was a murder behind in a field behind I'm just going to double check, it was the general store, right? Yes. So... we probably talk to sheriff, see if they found anything. I don't know how this goes.
You should also consider your own personal objectives. There was a heavy storm that hit the coast just yesterday. That's right. Which has since kind of faded, and you definitely remember a storm being pretty central to the ritual or whatever was happening last time, which was thrown around this monster, which kind of stayed until it dispersed after it was destroyed.
That storm stuck around, and storms are not unusual in this part of the world at this time. Coastal storms are a thing. It's part of life here. A storm in the evening is pretty normal.
Yeah. Yep.
Not that I'm desperate for things to be pretty normal.
Yeah. Yep.
This is a fishing town. I am annoyed about the whole occult thing. And how's our catch on the way in?
Do you want to roll whatever the closest thing you have to fishing is? Yeah, do you want to give me a boat roll?
My job is boat. My job is not boat, I am distracted.
Yeah.
Catch was crap.
I think, not great. Trolling around this area. There's a reason you don't come here regularly. You're based out of, Austin, where you can get out to the sea. And just do more trade. And even if you find it, selling here isn't as good. There is the cannery, which will take some of your product and turn it into their own little sardine tins. But yeah, no great riches to be had. Not this morning, at least.
Right. Cool.
So all right. I mean, if we're acting on what we know already, right? If this is related, if there's another urn here, then I guess that we're looking for a lot of flesh somewhere. I'm trying not to be too dark here, but like I don't know, is there a supply of fish or something that this thing could have used as sort of a biomass instead of what was on the boat? Otherwise, we're just looking for something that happened in the field behind the general store. We're looking for information from the sheriff.
I mean, maybe this is a stupid question, but I feel like someone's gonna ask. Why?
Why are we asking around, you mean?
Why? And, why us specifically?
Pretty good question.
We're going
I guess.
to need an answer to that, because I can guarantee if we go up to a sheriff and go, "Excuse me, sir, could you tell us about this murder you had in your town?" And he goes, "Who the fuck are you and why the fuck are you asking?"
Well,
say we were sent by Dr.
No.
Bethnal.
yeah, we could
I
just. I mean, we were on the
was-
foggy sea. That's the truth. We could,
The champagne. You should
Correct,
consider
the
how much
champagne.
because when you came back, you warned them that the champagne was sunk when you went out to it, and you probably told them that she's fucked and leave it there. But what you did following up with Dr. Bethnal and with Michelle is up to you. They've both since departed, returning to their regular work. If it's up to you how much contact you've maintained, and possibly if you've tried to get. I mean, you would have seen this article probably about a day or so ago, and organize your trip. You could have at least gotten word to them or sent it after.
Torres was a student at the Miskatonic?
That's right.
that
Yeah, Torres was one of the members of the dig team that went out there under Sebastian's
That's what
watch.
I thought. Well, I mean, it seems like we could have gotten in touch and said, seems like we had a very
sorry.
profitable
I
arrangement.
actually need to
last
amend
time.
that slightly. He was one of the laborers. He was not a student, but he was hired on to help with the thing. He's a little bit older.
Gotcha. But he was hired from Arkham.
Yeah, that's right.
I
like
think the university wouldn't have wanted their employees / contractors to befall terrible things. It could be, we could have pitched it as like a way to keep their name out of the news in a bad way. Not out of the news. That's already happened. But they have a stake in making sure their
Although if
terrible
we
things
heard
don't
about
happen
it,
to the people they hire.
if we heard about it
and-
yesterday and sent something to them, it's a solid bet that we have not gotten anything back.
Oh no,
in
we
24
get into that.
hours.
They may not have even received it yet.
Well, no, so
Well,
it's
it might
worth
be
flagging.
even-
This was in the Arkham Gazette. So they're the Miskatonic University. They
probably
they will
seen
have
it.
absolutely heard this. Dr. Bethnal's
Let's
probably
get to-
being interviewed under excessively.
Let's get
We
to
were
Greyport and give them a
hired.
call.
Yeah.
Or if we could have done that retroactively, because I think that Beth.
We have a radio on the boat. I
yeah.
can send a message.
Yeah, you
Send
can
a
get you can definitely get a one-way thing, and then be like organize when you're in town. You can go to local post office and organize a call or something.
As a telegram, yeah. Look,
Maybe the line is-
ultimately, we were hired initially to go onto the SS Champagne. It had to do with these urns. Somebody who is involved in that has shown up dead here. We're not sure how he got off the boat. Our initial engagement, we were hired to go to the SS Champagne and just have a look for survivors. Turns out there was a survivor. We have a vested interest. We'd like to know. I think we need to find out what the body, what happened to him.
There's also a pretty.
Or whether he had anything with him that was actually.
Yeah, how did he get off
property.
the boat?
Exactly.
Well, there's
that was our initial job. That was what we were hired to do. I think it's fairly reasonable that we are simply continuing that job.
Because if he got off the boat, then maybe other people did.
Maybe other people.
There's
did, and
also a
that's our
pretty
job.
mundane angle to this, which is that if he got off the boat and we know that they were missing, we know that not all
Exactly.
the urns were there. Like, I mean,
What did he have with him?
And why was he suddenly murdered? Was he just very genuinely involved in the sale of like artifacts and something went wrong?
Exactly.
I
I think we
mean-
have a pretty straightforward pitch here to go up to the
Yeah.
sheriff's office and say we were initially involved in The problem's aboard the SS Champagne. This man was aboard the SS Champagne. We're wondering what happened, in the interest of our employers. Was there anything on him? Did he bring anything with him? Was there anything that could have been taken?
We're
How was he
extending
murdered?
an investigation that we were previously hired to do. It's a little
Precisely.
outside our purview, but given that there was a lot of questions at the end of it, we're hoping to get some answers for ourselves and our employer. And if they ask who our employer is, we just say, this is a professor from the Arkham University.
Yeah, the
Precisely.
Miskatonic is probably
Miskatonic University. Nope, Blues would just be like, Arkham University. It's the University in Arkham. What are you talking about?
That one.
I don't think Luce has the concept of the Miskatonic, just like in the same way that you'd be
I
like
think that's right.
the university that's in Melbourne.
Yeah.
What, like that? Like there is
That
one.
Surely there can't be two.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think there is in Arkham, is there?
I don't think there's another university.
Miskatonic ensured that.
Yeah.
there's a Miskatonic next door. It's just
Nightmare.
Okay, so
Luce definitely is I don't know if you might say something to Bernie, but absolutely with a like, why would they kill him immediately because of the superstitions Luce holds. Luce immediately goes, blackmail. Like that's Luce's line is just so you know, Dave, Luce thinks this is blackmail.
Yeah.
Don't know how, but that's where my brain is immediately going.
good to go in with a hunch. So, as I said, it's early afternoon, sun's still high, and as you get in towards the harbour, there's a couple of other smaller ships docked alongside, bringing in their mega hauls. It's of note that there is one larger vessel, probably comparable to your own, called the Sea's Gifts. You're not familiar with it. The only times you've been here before, it was pretty brief, and it would have only been in passing, but it looks to be fairly well. Like, it has its own berth, which seems like a regular place it goes, so it's probably a local vessel that pretty much just works out of here. Beyond that, you can see some warehouses and things, and then a large bell tower above the city, inside you which you know is the courthouse, and contained there will be the sheriff's offices, as well as the harbour master's office, which you've been to before when you need to do some work. Up a hill and towards the left is the largest building in town, which is a huge factory, is the cannery, where most of the people here are employed. Beyond, there's a diner, bed and breakfast, and some other things. You would have a comfortable 4 to 6 hours. No pub, but the diner is well known to locals. And given we are in Prohibition era, there'll be no liquor served, but plenty of good food to be found. And that's just as good, I say. You have a good 4 to 6 hours before the sun will begin to set. As I mentioned, your lodgings aboard the Foggy Sea are comfortable is generous. They're very cramped, you share bunks, and realistically, normally you're on shifts while you're here, so it doesn't really sleep all of you at a given time. The most comfortable thing would certainly be to acquire lodgings at the bed and breakfast, but ultimately I leave that to you. If you want to paranoidly, is that a word, jam into the ship and keep your guns pointed at the door, you are welcome to do so.
Well, I like a bolt from the blue before we do it. I've just seen that courthouse. I'm an aspiring lawyer in some capacity.
Yeah.
I'll go and check some records. That feels helpful.
Okay.
I might be able to figure out whether, I don't know, there was a job in the maritime listings that said that the local vessel went out to sea at a so I'd like to do that.
Okay. All right,
But
Mr. Garrett.
I don't know if someone else wants to secure lodgings or
Yep, set a plan, let me know what you want to do.
I'm
Army
tempted
system.
to take a poke around the crime scene, which was the backyard of the general store.
Okay.
field behind.
Probably can't.
Judging by-
Field behind.
Yeah, there's because judging by the map, there's a back store. There's a backyard, and then there's like a larger field next to the woods. Yep.
I'm tempted to poke around there.
Okay. All right. Gaspar's going to make his way through towards the field. How about Luce and Bernie?
Courthouse or general store, Luce? Not letting anyone go off alone.
I guess I'll keep an eye on Mr. Green at the courthouse.
That's Mr. Garrett's
Captain-
going to the courthouse. Just
Sorry, Mr.
I
Gow.
feel like
I'm just
the
putting
courthouse
people.
is
I'm
probably-
putting people to where they're suggesting they're going. Not where they're
The courthouse is pretty safe, boss, and I'll be sitting down, not getting, and I'm right across the street. I understand, but I'm in yelling distance, right? I promise I won't get up to anything. I'll just sit down and read.
It's not you that I'm worried about.
I
Fair
mean,
enough.
I can go with the boy if you want me to. Sorry, Gasper. If that would make you comfortable, Captain.
Buddy system.
Right, I'll go with the boy, with
The-
Gasper.
The sheriff might be at the courthouse. We can ask questions of him there.
Okay.
So
All right,
Bernie, you're going to go with the first mate,
Paul.
Mr. Garrett.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'll go and mind the boy.
All right.
Luce is not that much older, I think, than Gasper, but is absolutely just like thought about him in their head as the boy because he's like 18 and knows nothing, and like keeps.
He knows one thing.
Yeah, well now he knows one thing.
was about to say
and he's trying
indignantly-
really hard to get rid of that idea because he's realized like no, Gasper's a person that like has gone through some stuff, but is still really is just like. He's still a child and knows nothing, is just naive and like, okay, I'll go and make sure that he doesn't climb up a tree and yeet himself out of a thing and break his arm or something. I don't know. I think Lucy still has the idea that like
Very
Gas
low
was closer to like 15
expectations.
or 16, really.
I
He
mean, to be
knows
clear,
nothing, capital N.
Just
I
attempt.
am not worried about the crew. I am worried about the Eldritch Horrors.
Mm.
And also, just to temper, like Gaspard you have all been through quite a serious thing so far and come out relatively unscathed. I've also just added Joe Evans to the map, and I've given you all shared control. So, I will kind of assume that he's left to tend to the boat and keep watch on things, unless you want to assign him elsewhere.
Yeah,
So-
I'm not leaving the boat unattended.
How
poured so much cash
chatty
into
is
that.
he? Like, would he be able to just like while he's tending to the boat, potentially we give him a roll for like, does he hear anything? Does he like can he pick up any like rumors or like
Yeah,
stuff
maybe
while
if-
he's just
So
as a general like while he's doing stuff, does he make passing conversation with someone and someone says something?
Because if Taurus came in via sea, then someone in the docks may have seen him.
Yeah.
That would be the
I
only
think
other thing.
we go inside and we sit in the bed and we get him to sit on the boat and point a gun at the door, basically, just so that we don't have to worry about the damn thing.
Just
no,
about Evans briefly. He's not very chatty. He's more the capable sort. But that said, he did show you around Gaspar when you were first on, and gave you would show you how to use the ropes and things like that. And Mr. Garrett and Captain Green, he's sailed with you for quite a long time and has proven himself to be relatively trustworthy. That said, during your most recent experience, he did reveal that he had a gun on him, which was not expected, nor technically really allowed. But he only showed it when he was there to protect Annie. Did anyone press that matter? Has anyone tried to speak a little bit more with Mr. Evans, or are you all kind of happy to just be like, well, that was weird. I'm going to assume you've got a license for it.
I'm not gonna press him on it because everybody who decides to spend their life on the sea has something going on.
Yeah.
And you know what? As long as he's trustworthy with us, whatever else he's up to and he does.
You don't go start living on a boat if everything's going well in your life.
Right.
I think
Is that what
I
you're
think
saying?
Basically.
Luce definitely says something to him, but it is along the lines of, nice piece. Looks like you know how to use it. And then if she gets anything even close to like a grunt of acknowledgement, that's enough for her. Like her thing is, do you know how to use that thing?
Yes, he does. He's not one for conversation either, actually. Liz, can I get a social roll from you? I just love to see if...
Oh, no.
Basically, this isn't... There's sort of fumble. This is just... I just want to see if he opens up at all.
Oh,
Otherwise-
okay. I mean, like...
Because sometimes people kind of click on,
Yeah, look. My highest is intimidate, and I'm actively not trying to
I
intimidate
agree.
this man.
I agree.
Yeah,
You're happy to let it live if you don't want to. With that in mind, then, no, he's not one that he doesn't seem to be much of a talker. You maybe have in the back of your heads, just collectively, though, he might be better with, like, the less legitimate. But because none of you have really broached that subject with him, or you can't really assign him to it, because you can't have that discussion yet. So, no, he's not really great for just talking around. So, sitting on the bed with a gun pointed at the door is probably his most practical role
and
until
also
then.
to keep an ear out. He doesn't have to talk to anyone, but if he hears anything about the boat that this poor murdered soul came in on, keep your ears open.
He says, yes, Captain, and when you get back, there'll be no rats aboard.
Rats in what sense?
Am I able
Not
to
gonna
get?
ask.
And he doesn't
The
say
same-
anything further and goes back to tying things down as you come into the harbour.
But I do get the sense from him, at least, like that he
seems
is
capable.
able to.
He's capable in everything else in his life, and he's not a man to take undue risk. He probably wouldn't carry a firearm if he didn't think that he might need it in some
That's
way.
probably what I like about him.
Yeah, honestly, that is genuinely all Luce needs to know, because like if there's someone on the ship, on the boat, that has a weapon and doesn't know how to use it, especially a firearm, that is like, you might risk the integrity of the hull, you might shoot a hole in like a boiler, which means that it's just an extra thing Luce needs to think about in terms of repairs. But if he knows how to use it, that is literally all Luce cares about. Like, great, you're not going to put a hole in the side of the boat that I got to fix. Don't care. You have your own private life. I have mine. That's enough. Like, we don't need that.
Perfect. Okay. The boat comes in, and as Joe deftly ties it down and begins to bring it into berth, the rest of the crew hop down onto the shore and begin to head in their two separate ways. It's not exactly like a crowd around the harbour, but it's probably the busiest area. We're also early afternoon where people are just beginning to come back in, or maybe some ships are heading out. As I mentioned previously, most of them are smaller fishing vessels, and bringing in pretty modest hauls that are being brought up around the corner towards the cannery. You don't feel unwelcome here, but as the article mentioned, there is a tension in town. The general impression is that an outsider came here and killed another outsider. Marco Torres was only identified later by, well, we don't know how exactly, but this is kind of bad outside energy coming into, it's not an idyllic place, but it's a practical place. They just get on with things. This just isn't what they do. So the four of you coming in, unknown, you're definitely getting some eyes, and people are watching you as you move. You collectively come round past some of the warehouses and then split in two directions. So Gaspar,
Just quickly, while we're on the dock still, just before we split off, if you could get your tail away from the mic, thank you. Is there any way that I can kind of scope out somebody who I might know from a previous trip, just to kind of loudly and publicly say hello to be like, we're not that much of an outsider, just
Yeah, I like it. I think I'd ask for a luck check here to see if there's someone familiar.
No, there is not.
Yeah, it's not that they're kind of, but like, you guys operate in a much more efficient way. These are not necessarily hobbyists, but they're smaller scale.
It's a small town.
The only one that looks like a larger ship, as I said, is the Sea's Gifts, which you do not recognize, nor the crew of it. Looking around, you're a little bit out of not out of your element, but no one familiar here.
Okay.
But that said, you all carry yourselves as sailors. You're not. You're not just a bunch of like little, like students and things that have come in. You are people at home here. You walk confidently through it. You know how to navigate the area. You stay clear of people swinging baggage around, and you don't make nuisances of yourselves. And quickly you're through the section and into the larger town. So Luce and Gaspar make their way towards a couple of sort of small businesses and things, and then you see what is clearly a well-used thoroughfare that cuts across these this field towards the rear of the general store and the library, and then around the other side. Probably a lot of people heading home from the harbour will just nip across this section, or if they're heading across towards these woods and whatever out is beyond. It's kind of an there's a great term for it. It's called like common, I don't know. It's something for basically like natural paths that form by people just using them so frequently that they become effectively paths.
Desire paths.
That's the word. I was like, love path. That sounds weird. Desire path, which I think is really fun.
Wait, we've taken the concept that people would like a path here, a la they would desire a path, and have just shoved that together to mean that's...
Absolutely.
This is literally amazing.
But it's so fun because it's ways you can see like how like what was planned doesn't always line up with what people use. And it's often when two paths go tandem and people just cut across because they're like, I'm not going the wrong way, I'm going to head across there. Yeah.
That's it. It's more when there's existing paths and everyone has clearly chosen not to use them. And it's like a dodgy look in the actual.
It's every
natural
single
path.
time that like you're in a video game and you're like, well, as a human being, I would follow the path right now, but as this video game character, I'm yeeting myself over
just gonna
several
walk over.
walls.
That's right,
Just
that's
because
right.
I want to go that way.
And because no one will
There's a
judge
great one
me.
at my train station. It's just, yeah, there's a nice big green bit with a dirt track that has been worn right through
Yep.
the middle to get up to the train station from the set of lights.
And it saves me 2 seconds, and I will do it every time.
Yep.
Okay. So we'll follow Luce and Gaspar first of all. You cut through a couple of these small businesses, just selling mostly practical implements, and going like winding past their backyards, you arrive in this larger field. The community possibly like holds events here and stuff during nicer weather, of which it's perfectly pleasant today, but clearly wasn't just a few days ago because the heavy storm has churned most of the ground to mud and muck, and then a couple of boot prints going around through it has probably erased any like immediate signs of evidence. This doesn't look to be a murder scene. The only reason you know it to be as such is because it was declared so in the Gazette. Clearly, you can see the library and the general store look in on this, and while there's no back door to the library that you can see, there are windows that look out at it, and people inside may have seen, would have been able to see this area, and there is a big back door to the general store, but it's for like deliveries and things, wouldn't be used by general like customers. The woods across to the east are tall and relatively dark, but you can see passages going, or like paths going towards them. People probably like take lunch in there when they want a bit of privacy or seclusion. These are not grim,
Take lunch
never
or
before
take
seen.
lunch?
Yeah, you know, whichever one. Yeah. That's where the still is for the liquor. So people clearly go out there, and it wouldn't be strange for you to be using that way. As you come in, you can see a couple of deckhands like nearby, smoking underneath one of the trees. What the two of you
The
like to do?
trees behind the library or the trees in the at
probably
the,
just like
edge of
just
the
towards
woods?
the edge of the woods. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I might have a look around. I might get down on the ground, see if I can spot anything out of place.
See what hidden things you can spot.
They seem like more of your people.
I am gonna post myself up near the nearest thing I can lean on, while keeping an eye on both Gaspar and the group that are smoking.
Sure.
Just like essentially, if Gaspar's like looking at the thing, and then I will be at the trees, and then those people will be up there, like little triangle.
If they flat sprint to shiv him, you can get there first.
I mean, I'd like to maybe holler at them, but yeah sure.
Yeah, understood.
I don't have my fire axe on me. That would be insane. I do have, and I'm not that yet, but I do have my pocket knife.
Yes, and I will.
And a wrench. I have my tools, because I don't really go anywhere without at least like the base, the tool belt, not the whole like bag, but I've got like
Okay, that is a little
wrench,
weird.
a screwdriver. I'm getting off a boat that I've just been working on. I'm in my work clothes essentially.
Yep, understood. You have some very
I have a utility
rudiment-
belt.
Yeah, sure. That is still weird. But that's within reason. The full toolkit would be something you have to like.
Yeah, no, I don't have my full toolkit. I have like obviously no access to like welding, so it is literally like I have a like small to medium spanner.
Yep.
Wrench, maybe a screwdriver, and like a couple little pouches full of like the small things that would get lost in a larger bag, a la some bolts, maybe some washers,
Just stuff
probably
you have
like
in
a thing of
pockets,
twine.
yeah.
Like I literally have like you've got like a code of useful items where you just like pull out little things from pockets, but none of them are particularly expensive or particularly useful. They're like neat. Yeah, that's Loose is kind of one of those, but not infinite.
Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah, 100%. That's great.
Probably some chalk.
Okay.
That kind of stuff.
So Luce, you post up, keeping an eye on these two deckhands, while Gaspar begins to pace around the field, looking down at his feet and seeing if there's anything amiss. Gaspar, I'll ask you to make a spot hidden roll first of all.
I was hoping you would.
Okay.
Do I spend half my luck on this?
Or do you push it? So looking around, it's not that there's loads of people that have gone through here, but the very recent storm has definitely turned it over. Also, wherever the body was, it would have been removed and an investigation would have already been conducted. It stands to reason that there would be nothing to find, and for now at least, you do see nothing. That said, you could spend some more time here if you wished. A very thorough back and forth canvassing the whole area, cutting it into sections, very sort of like, archaeology style. You could be a bit more certain that there's nothing here, but this would be taking you towards nighttime and kind of committing you to that action for a while. This would be pushing the roll.
That would amuse me terribly. I'd be happy to do that.
Before you do that, Luce, these two deckhands watching Gaspar, as he begins to walk around pacing, like clearly staring at the end, you'll see one of them sort of like snorts in sort of like derision, and then flicking the cigarette forward, goes to take a step. The other one just like doesn't, you hear say something very low, so it's not audible, and then the other one, who's a little bit sort of skinnier, smaller, like rolls his eyes and heads back towards the docks. The first fellow, a bit larger, sort of like a flat cap pulled down low, will remain, and lighting up another cigarette, leans against a tree and keeps watching Gaspar. Enough time begins to go past that he should probably be going back to his work, and doesn't seem to be. That or he's off shift and he's just choosing to spend his free time watching this stranger traipse around in the mud.
I'll keep an eye on him. I don't, unless he does something actively, I'm not interested in making a fuss. Like, if he just wants to watch us and then make sure that we leave, that's kind of the vibe that Luce would have, in the same way that Luce is standing there waiting till he leaves.
Yeah. Okay.
There's no, it is a, I'm looking after Gaspar and making sure he doesn't fall in a hole or get himself with a hole in him.
Yeah.
I'm making sure the boy's fine.
Okay, good exercise take. In that case then.
The only thing you got to worry about is been putting holes in boats, actually.
That's true.
What? Holes in boats?
You pulled the plug out.
The long discussion about the...
Yeah.
So as long as I'm away from any boats, it's fine.
He's good.
I mean, I'm pretty sure when we're on the boat, Luce is just like, don't touch anything. No.
Alright.
If it's like, can I help do that? No, don't. No repairs will be done by Gaspar.
Well, in that case, I'm going to leave the two of you there briefly as you settle in for an afternoon of mud picking. That's a word. We'll nip across to Paul.
I'll get a branch out. I'll pick a thing of a branch or a piece of wood and just get my pocket knife out and just start whittling. Not well.
Yeah, just something to do, honestly.
Yeah.
Just whittle a little.
Fits in with the folksy charm of the area. Alright, we'll check back in on Paul and Captain Bernie, who come round and approach the courthouse. It's quite large. It's 5 stories tall, big stone columns built along the side. It's not in disrepair. They clearly take pride in the building, but it's a little bit past its prime, just probably less money coming in. There's a huge clock tower right up the top with a massive steeple and a bell within it. From up there, you'd be able to take in the whole town. Probably quite a nice view. There's no one up there now, though. Looking in through the windows, you can see that there is activity, but I wouldn't say a flurry. There's record offices up on one of the higher level where you can see through the window just barely a bunch of shelves and things, and there's a clerk or someone who's making their way through there. Along the side of the building, there's a brass plaque that also suggests that within, alongside a bunch of largely irrelevant administration facilities, there is the sheriff's office, records office, and also of note, the mortuary. If Marco Torres is an active investigation, the body's still probably here, unless he's been sent elsewhere. There's also the Harbour Master's office, which is where you would have gone previously to register and to say, hey, we're going to be here, we want to pay for berthing for a while. Technically, you probably should go down and do that at some point.
Probably do that now. 2 birds,
Yeah, I agree. I think I might let you take the lead on that, and I'll see if I can get into sort of harbor related records. I don't want to we're gonna have to start looking at the body and everything like that, but if we don't take the good sheriff on Faith. That means that probably someone around here is still involved in this. So I wouldn't like to tip our hand too early. And looking into boat records is something that we can do in terms of arriving on boats, I think, without raising too much suspicion. So, smooth down my hair, look as respectable as possible, and let's go in.
So the two of you go inside, large open area, and quickly split up. Bernie heading towards the back where the Harbour Master's office is located, and Paul taking the stairs up to the second level to find the records office. Follow you first, Paul. So as you go upstairs, there's sort of like a wooden door with frosted glass, records office, carefully painted, and knocking and opening it, you'll find a very quiet room. There's a reception desk currently untended, but the clerk is nearby and will begin to turn and make their way back towards you. And behind it, rows and rows and rows of filing. The woman that works here is young and perfectly competent, it seems, called Alice. And as she approaches, she will ask how she can help.
Well, look, I'm in a bit of a loss. I would like to try and turn on my charm as much as I can, and just I'm trying to learn about the law, and I've got some work that I've got to do. I'm here on a boat. Could you help me out with some information here? And specifically, what I'm trying to do is just, I take my time with this. Basically, I set the tone, so hopefully I can get the best access and books possible. But my goal here. Currently, I'm looking towards information that is going to be relevant to comings and goings by sea over the last little while, ideally encompassing the time around which the SS Champagne would have been, if someone had left the ship either just before or, arrived just after it sunk or something. Try and figure that out. Yeah.
Oh, well, sure. I mean, we're a small fishing town. We have plenty of these things. It's in our blood. I'd be happy to help. If you want to give me a charm roll, we can see how much you can bring her alongside, but she seems pretty eager to assist right out of the gate. Probably doesn't get too much interesting conversation up here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just a nice guy.
And she loves that. You're also, you've been studying law. You have a respect for articles and where things need to go. You understand whatever decimal system they apply in these sorts of places. She will give you a bonus dice on this. She's eager and happy to help. You haven't tipped any things. You can look at that. If you want to spend your afternoon here, you can make a library use roll and see what you can uncover specifically into ships that are here and the comings and goings of them.
That's good. My library use is actually equal to my law, neither of which are very good.
Okay, we'll take the bonus dice, certainly.
Yep. So you want library use, not law? Just equal?
This is going to... it'd probably be a different thing here. You could... Library use will be, uncovering records specifically about, comings and goings of ships and things like that. Law would be drawing information from that, probably. Yeah, cool. And anything more specific you want.
Basic information, yeah.
Okay.
That's...
Yeah, go ahead and give me a library use roll, please.
All right, first one is a failure. The second one, that is a success.
Bang on a success. Nicely done.
That's fantastic.
Okay. The two of you share a fairly pleasant afternoon, toiling over records. She will bring you large stacks of them that she thinks may be relevant, and then you can seat yourself at one of the wooden tables looking out over the town and begin to flip through them, one after the other, putting them to the side when you deem them not relevant. So a lot of ships come and go from here, and the Harbour Master's office downstairs will have more active things. They come up here kind of once they've been expired. There's quite a few ships that have been registered here in the, I want to say short term. None ever really last a long time. The Sea's Gift is the longest running one in this area, and probably the only one of real note. Most of the others have retired long before relevancy or only were in and out briefly. But hobby vessels are really common in this area. Almost everyone has one. And because your kind of expertise is ships and things, most of them, not most, that's not fair, a significant portion of them would be capable of heading out to sea for short periods. In the event of something heading out, you need to narrow things down a little bit further, but you can begin to put a list together. Basically, someone here could have made it out to Boston or towards, theoretically, even the Champagne. Although in that storm, it would have been significantly damaged if it had approached.
That's a really good one, possibly something I can look at further about who might have signed up for repairs. The other thing I'd just like to quickly... I apologize. The harbor's the Sea's bounty, Sea's gift, harbor's
Sea's
gift?
gifts.
Sea's gift. The Sea's gift. What was it doing the night of the storm? Not the one that was the SS Champagne. Well, actually, if I can get that, but specifically the most recent one. What was it doing like 2 nights ago?
Yeah. So what it was doing 2 nights ago, it was out at sea. It was bringing in the bounty. It was absent for that whole night. Only returned in the early morning. However, for the Champagne one, that storm was significant enough that pretty much everything came into dock and stayed there for the duration. Even out here, which is a few hours away. Yeah. So it is recorded as not having gone and done anything suspicious.
And last thing, was it present during what would conceivably be, based on the news report, the day/night of the murder?
Yes, it was in town on that day. Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Another thing I'll give you is, because you're looking in its record specifically, one of the few names you know in this area, Mr. Jacob Linden, the man that gave the comment in the article, is first mate on that ship.
Okay, that's something. All right. What a ripping successful day.
another banger for the archives.
So, Dave, just because I'm making notes for myself, did you say that the Sea's gift... Is it gifts or gifts? Gifts. The Sea's gifts was docked during the storm like every other boat, or it was absent?
The one that struck the SS Champagne that you went out to 3 weeks ago, it was docked and present here in Greyport. The most recent one, which was smaller in scale but still, felt, it was away. It was was fishing and only returned in the morning once the storm had died. Since then, it's continued to go out once, or it's maintained a regular work schedule. It is, yeah. Okay, all right. That's your information, Mr. Garrett. We'll go across to Bernie, who heads across towards the Harbour Master's office. This is definitely the busiest building in the busiest room rather in this area. It's also probably one of the larger, because this is the trade, this is the lifeblood of the community. As I mentioned, you're actually familiar, or you have met before, that is to say, the Harbour Master here, Mr. Sullivan. He's probably unlikely to recognize you. He would see so many come and go, but you have made his acquaintance and could introduce yourself. There's clerks coming and going, little flurry of activity, big chart across the side, which is sort of like assigning berths to things, tolling up fees, making sure things are, basically commerce flows.
Bloody busy out there today.
Mr. Sullivan turns towards you, agrees. Aye, 'tis, but trade is good. How can I help you? You have the look of a captain.
SS Foggy Sea, we just arrived, looking for berthing. We're in pretty tip-top shape, so won't need any repairs. I think we're all going to stay in town, one man on the ship.
I can assign you some space. It'll be tight but comfortable. Are you planning to come and go? Will you be working while you're here?
I don't think so. I think we're going to stay berthed until we leave.
Understood. How long's the period?
Unsure at this point. Let's give it... How far out are we from that ritual deadline thingy?
Well, you don't know exactly. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So it's been about 3 weeks, so 20 days or so, but you don't know exactly when it struck back on the SS Champagne. So feasibly nowish, possibly already happened. You don't exactly know. You don't have it to the minute.
Let's start with 3 days.
Okay. He'll sign some records and pass you the pen to leave your mark on it. It costs you a tidy sum, but nothing too significant. You're put in a place where you can't super easily come and go. Basically, you don't have enough room to maneuver, but you can stay there for the intervening period. Based on his records, it looks like this is pretty common for this time of year. Not a ton of ships coming and going, and actually looking back just as he thumbs through it, the town's on a decline. Not sudden, like significant, but it's just beginning to turn over a little bit. He'll probably make an idle comment. He'll make an idle comment just saying, like, if you do want to do some work, we'll find the funds to pay you for it. We can always use good crews.
Well, that's always good to know, and I'm sure my crew will be happy to hear it. They've had a rough couple of months. We were the crew sent out to take a look at the SS Champagne when all of that went down.
What? You went out to the SS Champagne? I heard she's sunk.
She is very sunk. We barely made it back without being dragged down with her.
You have his
No
full
idea how.
undivided attention, as well as the other 6+ people nearby. Immediately, a small crowd gathers around you, and where you were seated, just like idly signing the forms and making a comment, you look up to see a group of clerks, sailors, and all sorts standing, waiting with bated breath for the story to tell. Clearly the SS Champagne and its sinking has spread. I mean, all hands lost, mass devastation, like so many people, a lot of people
all hands
know someone
apparently.
that died on that ship.
Oh yeah.
The hub master sort of pauses, trying to pick his words so as best to get the story and not scare you off, and goes, "What happened?"
Well, as you said, it sunk. And I'll put the pen down, get up, and leave.
You put the pen down, stand up, and head for the door. It doesn't even swing closed before suddenly there's a people talking on the inside. And as you're clacking back down out towards the general area, the door swings open once more, and a man goes walking quite quickly out towards you. He's fairly slight, with like black hair pushed back around his features and a toothpick sort of stuck in between a pair of his teeth. And he goes, hey, Captain. He rushes up behind you. Mr. Hodges.
Does he smell like a journalist?
No, he
like
doesn't. He seems to be another one of the sailors. He's dressed practically and has that kind of wide stance of people that spend a lot of time at sea. He goes, Captain, Mr. Hodges.
That'd be great.
I'm eager to hear more about what you said. Can I buy you dinner?
Buy my crew and I dinner, sure.
Done, sure. What do you say sometime tonight? Say 6:30?
Sounds lovely.
Pleasure. Frank's Diner. I'll get us a booth. All right.
Done.
He shakes your hand eagerly and wheels
What
about.
ship are you with?
The Sea's Gifts, he'll call over
The
his
Sea's
shoulder.
Gifts. Oh, I saw that one coming in. What a large, impressive ship. What exactly? Fishing, I assume?
He turns around, caught at like a slightly awkward distance as he was moving to go, and he goes, shipping, yes, we fish, yes, straight up to the cannery. It's a practical life, but not one of much excitement. He comes back closer, thinking the conversation might continue. Nothing quite so
Ollie.
exciting as your own.
We just fish, and then gonna head up to the record room.
Nice.
And then as you head up, he's now standing here. He waits just in case you do come back and have one more, but by the time he head up the story, he goes, right, and we'll head out the door. And away.
In
I
an
love
industry full of professionals who enjoy telling stories and spinning a yarn, Bernie is like the expert at playing hard to get.
Yeah.
No one's gonna see it coming.
And they only want
there
it all the more.
There's only two ways to get information in any kind of game. Or usually the way to get information in a role-playing game is to go and try and seek it out. You can also make it come to you.
Bernie just
But-
bats it away.
If it seems like they're interested.
I'm getting like a weird picture of like all these. This is a modern thing, but like all these people trying to figure out stuff about Bernie and like buying the premium LinkedIn to try and read stuff about them, and then it's all blank and come on.
Like, yeah.
All right.
Work on owns ship, works on ship.
Ship, job is boat.
Bernie, you head upstairs to the records office where you'll find Paul happily seated at a table, legs swinging with a big cup of tea and working through his happy little records. Paul, you've got another few hours here before you'll be able to leave. But the two of you can touch base and sort of
I'll probably
update on
I
where you're
share
at.
the
in
information
and-
that I have so far and the suspicions that I will confirm later, so that you can act on it.
We have a dinner date at 6:30. That Foggy Seas crew are real keen to hear about our
We're the
last
Foggy
gift.
Seas crew.
The was it
Seas gifts.
I may have said the wrong one at one
Seas-
point as well.
That Seas Gifts gang are very keen to hear about our last job.
Yeah, well, interesting stuff, isn't it? Especially with, I can't help but wonder. It might be worth going back and having a very brief captainly word with Joe. Seems like the kind of guy who just might know if there's some stuff happening in Greyport, because I would hate to confuse, people with political opinions, let's just say, with something involved in this. If you catch my drift.
I do. I think Joe's doing okay. I might pop down and see if the sheriff's in.
Fair enough. Cool.
I don't want to leave the building.
That's fair.
I'm committed to the buddy system.
Fair enough. And just to pass my own stuff, because I'm not sure what I meant necessarily was, if there's like bootleggers running out of this town,
Oh, almost certainly.
I don't want to get involved in like a criminal thing, thinking that they're involved in like occult stuff, because there's a line between the two. And different style of thing.
Stay in your lane,
Yeah.
guy.
Joe might know about whether or not there are a group of people who are smuggling, whether or not they smuggled liquor, or whether or not they smuggled a urn full of eldritch horror. Like, if they're smugglers, it might be
This also
There's almost certainly some kind, like, a declining town. I would probably also mention to Paul that seems the Sea's gift is direct to cannery. That building that seems to be the only source of income for the town. Interesting.
really spells it really spells bootlegging, doesn't it? Right? I think as sailors, I believe this is right. There was a smuggling industry where they'd pull in liquor from Canada a lot. Like maybe.
But let's try not to touch that. However,
if we need to,
they are very interested.
If we need to, we could probably, in a polite way that suggests we're not staying long and are just looking to maybe give them time to take a little heat off, we could position ourselves as just maybe a little interested in a side job.
No.
Not to do it, but I'm just saying.
No, that word gets around.
Sure.
We're not. I know this is all very exciting for you, Paul, but we're not going to risk our entire reputation.
I'm telling you, Captain, they're going to repeal that amendment. You mark my words. So give it a couple of years.
I have no doubt that they will. And it will affect us not a whit either way.
This is a teetotaler boat.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say,
This is God's boat.
Does Bernie partake at all?
God, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I was like, I'm pretty sure there's a stash of something on the boat that,
Gotta
like,
be. Safe
for
to say.
medicinal purposes,
Yeah.
at a minimum.
It's not the law doesn't ban us from drinking it. It just bans us from selling it.
Selling and buying.
And serving it, I think.
Selling, buying, serving. But if you just happen to have it, making, selling, buying, sure, but you know.
Wait, so possession of is not illegal at the time?
No, yeah, you could have it. You could have your own stash because so many people did. You couldn't manufacture it either. I think was another one.
You couldn't
can't
make
get
it, buy it,
more.
sell it.
But
But if you were somebody who had been collecting wine for like 10 years and you had a cellar, the cellar is like it's still you're
That's
not coming and
interesting.
taking it.
yeah, and there was also a lot of like, you know, if you come in and were like, I've got a bunch of whiskey here, but it was given to me in like kind of like good faith and legally, like you could declare it. I think a lot of the time, it did turn into one of those things a bit like if you were rich and traveled, you could have as much liquor as you wanted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like
everything's, you know,
rich is the most important one there.
everything's
Yeah,
legal
well-
for rich people, basically.
And then
Prohibits the
also with an open
manufacture-
secret of like,
Manufacture, sale, or transportation. So you could get done if you just like had
If
something
you
in your
brought
car,
it to your
probably.
friend's house.
So that'd be an interesting one then,
Have your
because
wine cellar.
could someone on a boat have some and not be done for transportation?
I think they'd ding
would
you
think
for
so.
it. I think the
Yeah,
opposite. I think
right.
you'd get flagged as smuggling. Possibly. I think that'd be pretty risky. I think that's where you get
someone
lawyers, you
wanted
know?
to.
Like they
Yeah, if somebody wanted to. That's the danger for that's probably the reason why Bernie's like we're not touching that ever, because as soon being a ship, as soon as there's any on board or there's even rumors of it on board, we can very easily be done.
yeah,
And
beyond
if
like
we're,
personal
if we're into
flasks.
stuff that involves cults and people who will go to the lengths of murder to get stuff that they want, we gotta be squeaky clean, because even a rumor of wrongdoing is enough to for somebody who doesn't like that we're looking into things.
last fun prohibition thing, because it's what we do a lot on stream, talk about fun stuff like that. I think that's the reason amongst others, that there were a lot of like clubs and stuff, and like people going to your house because you could serve stuff at your house. Because
That's so interesting.
and
Yeah.
if it wasn't a bar, it was
A
these are
club
my
stock.
friends and we meet all the time, like kind of thing. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
That makes so much sense.
That way they weren't taking anyone important's wine cellar away from them. Even though they really, really wanted to.
yeah.
So it's been both Paul and Gaspar have kind of commitments, so to say, that will take them about up to this dinner. Outstanding things, Bernie, you might want to mention to the other two the plans to meet for dinner, and it will be arranging accommodation you'll want to do before nightfall, just out of politeness to the staff.
Yeah.
So I guess for Luce and Bernie, who aren't currently committed, what would the two of you like to do? Or just remain?
Going to the Harbour Master probably didn't take me particularly long.
No, it's just like, it's only been like an hour for you, whereas the other two are
Right.
committed for a little while.
Yeah, if I have time to speak to kind of go downstairs.
You can nip across to Luce pretty easily.
Yeah, I might nip across to Luce and Gaspar pretty easily.
Okay.
Mention our dinner date. Mention that I'm keeping the details of the champagne very much on the down low, and that all I've said is that we were there, and I'll tell you what, people were wild about that. So the Seas Gifts crew are buying us dinner tonight at 6:30, which, good for us. Also, very enthusiastic about it. They really want to know more. And they seem to deal almost exclusively with the cannery, so I think we should put that on our to-do list.
Right.
Nothing untoward or strange here. I would not mind having a chat to the sheriff and seeing...
No, just that fellow over there has been smoking for the last, 45 minutes, and, not me to judge anyone for their habits, but that seems an awfully long time to be having a smoke break, if you know what I mean. I'm assuming Gaspar's still, knees deep in the mud and, filtering through
Nearby
things.
and in conversation range,
it's just
but working
yeah.
instead.
Being and Gaspar hasn't found anything yet, I don't think, but...
I found a stone.
Is this relevant?
Order of the Stone.
Why are we ordering stones?
Keep it up, kiddo.
That was the group that
Gaspar?
Jane Michelle was.
Gaspar?
And I'll keep looking.
Just maybe we'll just at that wander over and be like, Gaspar, maybe don't say the name of a very secret society out loud in a place that's got a lot of people who might want to stab us in the back with a double-bladed knife, okay? Pats you on the shoulder.
Let the record show that was for comic effect. Could be construed as being out of character.
It could be, won't be.
I invoke my right of privilege to make dumb jokes on the stream.
I'm rethinking the buddy system. Anyway, we need accommodation.
Right. Well, do you want to go and... I'm happy to stay here and keep an eye on Gaspar while he keeps digging around in the mud. If you want, Captain, I can also go and get us accommodation, but, if you don't want him to be alone, then I'll stay.
I'm sure to look at the dude smoking.
As you look at him, he flicks it out and will turn and head along a different path and back in the general direction of the warehouses and that sort of thing. He was a pretty big guy, worth noting. He didn't look hostile at any point. He was just kind of watching, but he was there for a while.
Has he got the affect of Luce, of just being big and there?
Yeah, that sort of thing. Definitely.
Wait, did I? Yeah, no, Luce is size 65. Luce is big and there.
Yeah. This guy is, not that it's a competition, bigger.
No, yeah. I mean, he's also mask, so assumption is bigger, but for an average-sized person, Luce is big for someone who's
It's the same sort of presence, right?
Luce, you get into
presence.
You get into tussles and things. This is the sort of dude that if you went up, if you were in a bar fight or something, you'd prefer a different dance partner, he looks pretty capable. He looks like a big whacker.
Yeah, I won't say that Luce... it's not that I haven't danced with people like that before, but if we do, there's sort of a tacit agreement that, we both take it a little easy because neither of us really want to properly hurt the other one, because that's not really what it's about. But for that kind of situation, no, I'd rather pick on someone my own size if I'm going to go have a brawl for the fun of it,
Yeah.
That's not
it.
fun for anyone if you're picking on people who are smaller than you. And usually people who do are just bullies and aren't really worth your time, you know?
Yeah. He heads off, and we're approaching into evening. So Gaspar will have you make that spot hidden roll in a moment, but Luce and Bernie, is one of you going for accommodation, or are you both going to return to your watches?
I mean, that's really up to Bernie, I think.
Accommodation.
Bernie-
We need to get accommodation, I think.
Which of
I
you?
just want to impress upon the crew that we were going to stay mum about the champagne, except that we were on it, and see what interest comes to us.
Were you wanting to go and
it.
speak to the sheriff?
Yeah, I think it's been an hour and a bit that's elapsed, so I'm hoping to catch him at a point where the gossip that we're here has reached him.
Probably a little bit longer will get you that.
Yeah,
if
but
you go
before he's
after,
had time to formulate kind of a strategy to talk to us, I would like to blindside him a bit.
okay, yeah.
I want him to know and be thinking about us, and then for me to just pop up.
Hello.
Oh.
Cool. I'm happy to go to the bed and breakfast and get us lodgings if the agreement is Gaspar's gonna be okay for a little while on his own, but like I'll come back and keep an eye on him once I've done it.
Yeah. Just check back in.
I will give you that Gaspar does, of them currently position wise, does feel the most exposed. Even Gaspar, you're having a little bit of you're in the middle of a field and there's so many windows looking towards you. Like every time you look over, you can see there's on the bed and breakfast, the highest level, actually there's like an attic one, and that window can kind of see you. And you look over and there's the woods, and there could be someone in there. Like it does just feel a little bit like this,
Well, if
exposed.
that's the case, then why doesn't Bernie? Captain, why don't you stay with Gaspar for a little longer? I'll go get us lodgings, and then I'll come back and you can go speak to the sheriff, because that'll be long enough between times, perhaps.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Alright.
Great.
So Luce heads off towards the bed and breakfast, cutting along past the library at this point. Looking inside, you can see that it's not particularly active. In fact, while there are lights on, you can't actually immediately see anyone at all, although there possibly staff in between the bookshelves. You make your way towards the bed and breakfast. Just before you go, Gaspar, I'm going to ask you to push that spot hidden roll. Let's see how things unfold.
Over bonus die?
Nope.
It'd make things easier, that's all.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I can feel
That's
that.
the point of them, yeah.
That's why I asked it.
Yeah.
Well,
Hot dog. Okay.
I'm well spent. I will take that extreme success and take it to the bank.
Luce heads off, and Gaspar, and with Bernie now stationed up and kind of watching the area, Gaspar finds a little something, wouldn't you believe it? So between the mud, the investigation, everything, it's pretty hard to track everything down. But you do begin to spot some boot prints in areas that are sort of like under eaves or around corners and things that have discernible tracks. If you can find boots from someone, you could possibly compare them and see who's maybe coming or going. Not a lot of people have been through this area. It's technically, probably only until recently, you weren't even allowed in this space. But you can see, you find sets of tracks going past the library, past the general store, and up towards the woods. You don't know about coming or going. You could roll a track roll here to get a bit more information, but otherwise if you can just find someone's boots, you'll be able to make comparisons. Additionally, and this is only with your extreme, you find ground into the mud next to a pair of boot prints that are heading towards the woods is a little yellow carton. And when you crouch down to pick it up, you find it's a cigarette packet for Sweet Afton cigarettes, very yellow. There's still a couple of cigarettes inside it. Yeah, it's sort of
not a sponsor.
It's been there long enough that this would have been there. Like, it's gotten a bit of muck and rain and things on it. So this is not this was here before the storm. So timing-wise, this was before or around the murder. The police may have missed it, or it may not be relevant.
Did you say
Well,
Sweet Afton?
Yes, that's right.
Is that a word we'd know, Afton, or is it just like a...
I don't believe
Name of the
so.
brand?
You could
Yeah,
make it's the name of the brand.
Does it matter enough for me to Google the name to see
please don't. You might find
Right.
something.
Amazing.
Alright.
Shall
But
not.
you could, if one of you wanted to go and look it up some more, you could go to the library, or you could take it to or not the records. I don't know the records would have anything. Or there's
was
a
just curious
there's
if
a
it was a
general
real
store
brand.
just nearby. Maybe they sell it there.
Yeah.
This is, however, taking you through to like you succeeded, so you're not going to miss dinner or anything. But it's basically we're approaching dinner now, so we'll probably have Luce go, and then if anyone wants to, like, speaking to the sheriff is probably beginning to be like late for dinner if you want to do that. I'll leave the two of you there to ponder and just follow Luce briefly as you make your way up to the bed and breakfast. It's a nice little area. It's basically a large house renovated and to accommodate people. There'd be several rooms on the inside. There is only one person that runs the whole thing. Her name is Gail Armand. She's 111 and she's the sweetest little thing you've ever seen. She's doing
Gail
10,000.
Harmond?
Gail Armand.
Wow.
She's doing
Almond.
Armand. Yeah, she's doing 10,000 tasks at once. You're pretty sure she's moving between rooms at the speed of sound. And although she was only just upstairs, dusting one of them a moment ago, she's at the little thing when you ring the bell, and you barely blinked when she appears. You can easily arrange accommodation for as many as you'd like. There's no one else currently staying there.
You're being hyperbolic, right? She's not actually 111, or is that?
I'm being hyperbolic. She's
Okay,
just,
good.
she's just
I was
old.
She wasn't actually
I was
doing
like,
10,000 things at
whoa.
once.
No, she's not. She's not. Jackson was allowed to have a little comedic thing earlier,
Yeah, well,
which actually, in
no,
fairness,
I
I'm holding him
wasn't.
to.
So Dave, unfortunately,
Okay,
she's
all
now
right.
canonically
Add it
111,
to your
capable of doing
notes.
10,000 things at once.
Well, she's.
Quick, this
If
is a
every
clue for the-
nerve is a function and every organ beat is, then that gets me closer, but still
Okay.
maybe not there.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm looking to rent a couple of rooms for probably a few days. I'm not exactly sure how long we're going to be here, so is it all right if I pay for a couple of rooms for a few nights and then perhaps potentially extend, or do you need to know up front how long we're staying?
No. We can do it one day at a time. That'll be just fine. How many are you?
There's 4 of us, but I think we'll probably share rooms if that's okay. We've got 2 gentlemen and 2 ladies, so we'll split them, the way God intended.
Yes, very good. Well, I have got 2 rooms with double beds, or a pair of double beds in them. So I'll set those aside for the 2 of you, or each party. And will you be wanting dinner? Because if so, I can nip to the kitchen now and get something started.
Thank you. No, we've got dinner sorted this evening, though we may take you up on the offer if we continue to stay for additional nights, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, I can whip up a mean breakfast. I just need to know that it's happening. So leave me a message as soon as you can, and I'll do what I
Breakfast,
can.
certainly. I think we could all do with a hearty one of those, so I'm happy to pay up front for the breakfast tomorrow morning. Yes.
Payments no mind. It is all things I have. If you leave your bags here, I can get them up to your rooms, and everything will be clean in a jiffy.
Thank you.
Not at all.
If you wouldn't mind putting them down under the Foggy Sea
Yes.
as the name.
Shipping vessel. Well, that makes sense. I'll do just that, and I'll need, she gets some names for the records and things and begins to fill out stuff, and as she does, she says, and you'll pay no mind to the murder. The recent nastiness. I assure you, it's most unlike our town. Really, it's a very pleasant pace, and the doors do lock from the inside, so no risk there. Well, you never say never, do you? So I can't say it won't, but it won't. It's very unlikely that anyone is attacked. So I'll just put you down for the 2 rooms, and yes.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'd heard about what happened. Sounds terrible. I'm very sorry.
Just grim, just awful. I mean, this sort of thing just doesn't happen here. I mean, we're a nice town. I mean, sure, occasionally the boys will get into a dust-up down the docks, or an argument goes a bit awry, but murder in Greyport just doesn't happen, and very unlikely to happen again. So, like I said, tried it now, didn't. Awful. Just and so my heart goes out to the family of the bereaved. An outsider, really, so not one of ours. Still terrible, and I'm sure they're just gutted, but not local, so just terrible. Should be over soon, really. Yeah, yes, grim, very grim, very, very grim. No breakfast. No, yes, breakfast. My mind. No dinner. Yes, breakfast.
Yes, thank you. You've. I mean, I'm exceptionally glad to hear it, but you've never had a murder or anything like this happen before in the entire lifetime of the town. That's impressive.
Well, certainly not in my lifetime. I mean, I suppose there's probably records of something gone wrong, but no, I don't think so. This is a nice place. We resolve things with our words, or we try to, or at least not with bladed weapons. A bit of blunt violence. These things happen. Obviously, these things. I mean, you have to be realistic about the risks of life, but this is just grim, just awful. Really, really sinister. Yeah.
Well, thanks for the rooms, and I shan't. I shan't keep you dwelling on it any longer with any additional questions. But I appreciate you letting me know, and I'm sure we'll be absolutely right as rain. And just in case, I know you said fishing vessel. Don't worry, we are a clean lot. We keep our boots nice and scrubbed. Our captain keeps a tight ship, so please be assured that we'll make sure your place stays nice and clean, and you won't be having to scrub out too much of the fish smell. I can't make there's a point at which it gets into your clothes and it just doesn't get out. But no, our captain does make sure that we keep ourselves presentable. So I hope that for some outsiders, I hope that's
Well, I'm just hugely
acceptable.
grateful to hear it, and glad you're so respectful of the my home. Doors will I'll be off to bed by about 7 or so if you can be in before then, but I'll be up by 5 or thereabouts. So Seaman as yourselves, I imagine early risers, so that shouldn't be an issue.
Absolutely. If we're taking dinner at the diner this evening at 6:30 with a few people we made acquaintance with in the town. So if we do need to get into our rooms a little bit after 7, is there a way for us to get inside or
I'm a light sleeper. Just knock and I'll make myself there. You'll appreciate I like my rest, but that'll be just fine. That's all right. Who are you having dinner with?
I believe there's a couple of people from one of the ships that's come in, also does similar, fishing vessel. We got chatting about, work. I think my captain organised it. I just got told we're having dinner.
Well, that's very exciting. Look at you, little well-to-do busybodies meeting everyone in the town. Oh, it's just so fun.
Yes, I mean, we don't, we spend a lot of time on a ship. It's pretty, we get our socialization where we can, if.
Yes, well, you just have the best time, and don't even worry about waking me up. I need the sleep and everything, but, it's not a worry. Every now and then, it's unlikely to affect things long-term, so it's fine. It's just have the best time. So happy for you.
We certainly won't
oh my
make
goodness.
Please be assured we will not be making a habit of it. It's just a one-off, of course. We'll make sure.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. You just get me up when you get back in, and then I'll get up tomorrow morning and I'll get that breakfast ready for you right as rain.
This woman is.
You have so much fun tonight. You just have the best time.
I think at this point Luce is like, great, thank you. Appreciate it. We'll put whatever down payment is required and just kind of like exit stage left.
Yep, you head off, and before you leave, there's a flash of light, and she's up in the top stairs, dusting once more and getting the rooms ready.
Hyperbolic. She's not actually transporting in flashes of light.
We just have to assume that Luce looked away and anything could have happened, but you're pretty sure she's human.
I mean, I love the idea that, like, this is one of those weird things where there is absolutely just, like, some kind of eldritch being, but that is just
it's now
a very, very
dicking
old
with
lady.
You. Yeah.
She's got the eldritch energy of tiny old I'm an honor. I love you. I do everything for you. Do not fuck with me.
Make me so
like just
tired.
like she's got very old Nonna energy.
It's
Oh,
Tom
yeah.
Bombadil, I'm telling you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely Eldritch Being,
If he
but
was
not in the way
aggressive.
not gonna kill us. Like just there in the world.
One has to hurt. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It approaches like 6-ish or so, and one might rally the group together. Paul, you've finished your work. Thank Dallas. She's going to close things up for the day. She kept it open a little bit for you, but that's all right.
I might offer to like bring her a cup of coffee or something in the morning as a thanks.
Yeah.
And then I'll duck off.
Yeah, she'd appreciate that. She can see you tomorrow morning very happily. If there's anything more you want to go through, just knock and she can get that sorted. I imagine everyone meeting, the most practical thing would be probably out the front of the general store. Gaspar's boots are muddy. Everyone else's are relatively clean. Been no word from Joe just yet, but a quick look down the sightline, you can see it, the foggy sea bobbing happily in the harbour. Your dinner's not too soon. The general store will be closing about nowish, honestly. If you go in, you'd be those rude people that like go in and like just need to pick up one thing, and they're like trying to tidy it up and lock it down for the night. But you can make a play for it if you wanted to. Otherwise, it's with you to act further.
Well, I found a clue.
Yes.
So it's a pretty successful day, I think.
We
Good
keep
job.
an eye out for anyone smoking those cigarettes.
Can you give me a sec?
Can I what?
Give me a sec.
Oh, yeah.
Can I?
Well, it's just the carton.
Didn't you say there was a couple still in there?
There's a
Dave?
couple in there, but they're pretty muddy
couple still in there.
and mucked up.
I'm gonna take one out, and just like, yeah, I'm gonna light the end of one of them.
Okay.
I'm gonna light one.
Yep.
I'm
Takes a
gonna
minute to
smell
get
it.
going.
Yeah,
I want to know what they smell. I want to know if there's a
Weird,
distinctive smell to them, or if they just smell like normal tobacco. Like
Yeah, I hear you. They seem like
They
they're
smell sweet.
they don't appear to be laced with anything. Like they're not like mixed with,
Okay.
like they're not like, I don't know, pot or
Poison.
I don't know what else people put in cigarettes. Honestly, they seem to just be tobacco.
I mean, these days things like menthol and stuff like that. So whether they are, but are they a particularly sweet smelling tobacco? Are they more acrid smelling? Like, because
Yeah.
there is a bit of a.
Okay. Are any of your characters smokers? Who likes a puff on the old
I'm
pipe?
not, but I'm going to say that my father was. So
Okay.
I have a memory of the smell of probably more like old smoke than fresh, but like,
Yep.
because he would have.
He's a man of the sea. He'd have a pipe, surely.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Paul,
so
you're in your
I think
bad boy
I'm-
era. Have you taken up smoking?
I've just started. I think that's very funny, and I'm having a bad time. I was going to do a constitution. I think historically, big chance we all are, but I was smoking is one of those things where I'm like, it is just like gonna kill you. So
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
don't
And
want to be
you're-
like, yeah, we all
Well, your
smoke.
investigators
is-
already
you
have so
didn't know
much
that
against
then.
them.
Also, to be clear, yes, in the 1920s, like we would probably have all been smokers. In the 1920s, there were not eldritch gods trying to kill you.
And we would have all been
So,
wearing
like-
hats too. Which
So
is
I
can't
feel
say
like
that for
important.
sure.
We are in an
Yeah.
alternate version of the 1920s where maybe there were more people who didn't smoke because
Exactly.
they worked out that it was hurting you. Oh, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's
Yeah.
all make believe. Who fucking cares?
I feel like
I'm
smoking
so-
is a silly thing to do if you live on a wooden ship, so, you know.
I've
Also
just
true.
started while I'm on my motorbike. Only while I'm on my motorbike, and I don't go quickly enough to make it difficult.
Because you can't. Okay.
Yeah, Luce is not because clean living, but Dad was, so
Okay.
has
Um,
connection to it.
Yeah, you have it. There's nothing super distinctive about it, and as not an active smoker, you probably can't get too many of the specifics from it. Paul, it's not a brand you necessarily recognize, but you've really just started your journey. You're still trying to find what you're going to define your personality as and how you're going to really build that
Yeah.
into the cigarettes you smoke. I'm hoping you go to prison, because then they'll just decide it for you, because it's what they have.
Exactly.
That'd be
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, we just keep an eye out for it, right? As
Oh.
best we can.
Right? For all we know, it could be the victims.
Yeah, I'll like crush the end of the cigarette so it stops burning and put it back in the packet and hand it back to Gaspar.
I will
They're
make a
bad
habit.
for you, you know.
I will make a habit of just if you can note this in the background, Dave. I will take opportunities to go out and do like smoke breaks in character, and like just if I spot someone smoking that brand, I'll try and note it. Yeah.
Okay. Heard. Once they're out of the packet, they just kind of look like cigarettes. The packet's the most distinctive element, but if you get the opportunity, I will take that on board.
I mean, I'm sure
genuinely,
you
you've
go
seen
and ask someone for a cigarette.
Yeah, I like, I think a lot of that, I've
Understood.
got enough social skill that I'm not terrible at it,
Yeah.
At the very least, the bloke that you saw smoking just earlier that was watching you a bit, Gaspar, it was a different brand. So these are quite yellow. You think if you saw the packet, you'd be able to spot it pretty easily. Okay. All right. It's about 6:30 or so, dinner time. Is everyone coming? Does anyone not want to go? Want to do anything different?
Luce is deeply not great with social situations, but will come along as the awkward, silent presence that they are.
Okay.
I think I would just like to remind everybody again before you go in. Let's play it close to our chest. They're really eager to find out what happened to the SS Champagne. Blue by blue, I'm thinking.
Do we want to tell Joe just so we can get a free meal? Kind of feels mean not to. Yeah, we all went to dinner for the whole crew.
You can get him
sorry,
takeout. Bring him back a burger.
Yeah.
Did he not?
We'll bring him something back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, does it? Yeah.
We'll bring him back. We'll bring him back to go back.
I'm also happy to go and hang out with Joe and not do this unless, like, as a.
To you?
I'll go grab something and then, because Luis is not people. Like,
Yes, and actually, it might be of benefit to us if there's somebody that they don't know on site as part of our crew. So that can also be useful.
Although the old lady at the bed and breakfast, but
I mean this crew specifically.
Yeah, we're not trying to play like total.
This man.
But just creating a little whatever.
This man basically chased me down at the courthouse to try and get the story out of me, and offered us dinner straight up, and didn't flinch when I said for the whole crew. They're really keen to know, and that kind of sets my alarm bells off a little bit. So it may actually be helpful for this crew in particular to not be completely aware of who all of us are.
If I can get some takeaway, and I'll grab 2 boxes and head on back to the ship to go and hang out with Joe.
Okay.
And maybe play some cards. Maybe just have like a chill evening where we throw a couple of pennies at each other.
Sounds
roll
very
some dice.
playful.
And maybe you'll get the story of the gun.
Look, maybe I'll try and get him to open up a little bit, but I'm not the people person, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as you,
please do. I'll need all of his backstory for
Oh, for when you die and have to play him.
Oh yeah, I guess if we don't find out what his backstory is now,
We
we'll
will.
find out eventually when
Worry
one of us
not.
dies.
And he's back. So approaching, this is Frank's Diner. It is a 24-hour operation. It runs constantly because the ships come in at different nights. It definitely winds down. They'll just get like one staff there, but it is in constant flux. As you head inside, 6:30's pretty prime time, so there's quite a few people about, and the wait staff are running circles, delivering food and drinks. Luce, you can sidle across towards just the the bar, sit down and place an order so that you don't immediately get ID'd with the other 3. Who, Bernie, you will spot Mr. Hodges, who has taken a table right towards the back, one of the booths, and is clearly standing out in front of it, waiting for you to come inside. As soon as you come in, he'll raise a hand, beckon you forward, and then take his seat once more inside the booth. Yourself, Paul, and Gaspar can go and join him.
Yeah. I think I will have specified that the line is, we were sent out to the SS Champagne, and its sinking nearly took us down with it, which is true. Heavily imply that we went aboard, but don't say it. Because as soon as we say that we're on board, people ask for a blow-by-blow of what we saw, and I don't know if we really want to be open about that or risk lying about it. Let them tell us what they think.
Okay.
Let them ask questions. Let them show us how much they know.
Yeah.
And why they're so interested.
Give them like a quick update as you all walk towards the back. So Mr. Hodges, as I said, a bit of a skinnier, smaller guy. The toothpick is still in place. He's taken off the jacket that he was wearing earlier, and you can see his shirt's a little oversized on him. The suspenders definitely help to keep the pants up to a level. And they also, as you all walk up, he, like, having just gotten into the booth, slides back out to shake each person's hands and reintroduce himself as Matt Hodges, or just Matt's fine, and then goes back in. And as you do, you hear this little clink as he moves in, and one side of his pants are definitely weighted down further by what is almost certainly a full flask. He slides in and across, and he has like a black cup of coffee in front of him, and pretty brazenly, like once you're all going in, will take the flask out, undo the cap, and pour like a fairly healthy drop into his drink, and then goes, and if you want to get drinks, I've got plenty, so just, like, keeps the night going. And he folds it back in his pants. Sorry, dinner.
Comment on that.
Yeah, place any orders. You'll hold a hand up, and Mary, and one of the waitresses comes past and says, anything for my friends on my tab. You will quickly pick up a and then she starts taking it. The tab's probably been used a bit and might already have a couple numbers on it. But she does take your order and doesn't embarrass him in front of you. We do anything you can imagine, pretty much. The chefs are great. Just place your order and we'll bring it right out.
Whatever you'd have.
Okay. She'll take a couple of small things. And do you guys go, like, excessive on the order? Like, is this like we're going to get our money's worth? Or is this like, or do you go the opposite and, like, just the salad?
No.
I'm a growing boy.
Standard hearty sailor meal. Like, I think I'm after, like, steak and taters or a pie or something meaty,
like
hearty.
A plowman's lunch.
Yeah.
Kind of
Well, I mean, it's dinner, so I don't want anything cold. Like, I want a hot hearty meal, like a pie.
I'm gonna push the envelope. I'm
Okay,
a growing boy.
He's a grown boy. I would like just.
And I think I balance out by trying to be a bit polite. So we even out to just kind of roughly, yeah.
Okay, evens out. You will notice that Hodges himself orders a reasonably expensive meal, probably to match Gaspar or thereabouts, and not too after food is served, and as he gestures...
from his crew coming?
No, just me. I thought I'd get the... Just hear your story. I mean, you gotta understand, this is crazy. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
We've heard rumors,
a very big storm. It was a very strange storm. I heard you were out in a storm a couple of nights ago, last night.
Oh yeah, boat rocked a bit, but nothing significant. He holds out the flask to anyone who would like some. It's good.
I'll take a nip.
Yeah, just add it to your drink. Okay.
I won't. I'm ancient.
Sorry, was that yes, Bernie, or no? No. Gaspar, healthy slug.
Captain keeping a clear head.
Yeah.
I'm game.
Growing boy.
Okay, all right. And Paul has once again a moderate slip. Added to one of the drinks and stirred through. You notice him watching you like reasonably keenly once you take.
He just got poisoned.
Almost certainly.
Just got killed. We're dead men walking.
He did have some himself. Like
yes.
we witnessed him have some himself as well. So I'm not overly.
The first sip of it you have, it's like grain alcohol. Like it hits like a fucking truck and goes down like gravel. There is nothing smooth about it. This is clearly something that has been brewed in the back of someone's basement. Yeah. This is very much illegal and produced and yada 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 yada, all that good stuff. He himself takes another like, oh, it's smooth. Does it up and puts it back in his pocket. We had some stormy weather recently, but nothing like you. I mean, so you gotta tell me, you went out to the Champagne, huh?
Oh, contracted to, hired to. Sure did. Right out to the SS Champagne. I'm gonna say it loudly enough that people are gonna hear.
Oh, come on, I bought your dinner, all right? Give me the, let me,
What's your role in your C's gifts? Fine looking ship. Maybe even nicer than mine.
It's a great ship. I'm just one of the deckhands. Someone in one of the booths over has looked over at SS Champagne and he goes, fuck off. And they sit back down. It's just, come on. I mean, this stuff spreads. I'm just trying to be friendly. Okay, just trying to be friendly.
We appreciate it.
I tell.
Yeah. It's a fine ship. It's pays the whatever. Who contracted you?
Oh, Harbor Master down in downtown.
Huh. I didn't think they just like
Yep.
contract. I mean, they must have.
Harbor Master can't have rumors of ships going disappearing and not coming back. It's bad for business, you know.
Yeah. Hey, you want to know a rumor I heard?
Always.
You weren't the first ship that was sent out either, huh? Another one got
Really?
lost.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. Another one went
Goodness.
down. So you would have been the second one sent out.
Well, luckier than the first, I think.
I'll play into it. Paul is very much kind of like not sure what we're answering and not, because like what part of the story is. So it is probably visibly a little like.
I don't know how much they know. I want them to tell us. I want him to talk.
But
Very much Captain's choice.
So you were hired to go out. Second ship sent. Big storm. Big ship. Quiet, huh?
Big ship. Huge,
What'd you see when you
huge
got
ship.
out there?
Can I try and give him a little bit of what he wants as much as possible? Because I'm taking the lead from Bernie here, so it's very much, and I'm trying not to broach a topic until it gets broached by Bernie, but I want him to feel like he's got his money's worth for buying us dinner as such. So if I can make a charm check just to sort of like keep the mood up.
Yeah, I will definitely kind of.
What I would really
do
love here
penalty
is
die
actually
fighting or something.
fast
Yeah.
talk
Okay.
from someone, because I think
All
this
right.
is kind of
I'll kick us
dancing
off with
along
fast
the
talk.
subject. Yeah, it's
I'll happily kick us off with a fast talk.
yeah. Do you wanna? And it's
I've
like
given him everything that's true, but I'm not confirming or denying kind of anything that he's
yeah.
saying.
Well, and you were kind of trying to dance around and also see what the rumors are that's going around and kind of what his deal is. So I think fast talk is definitely.
How much does he know?
And just before you roll, I can see a bonus dice here from the other's assistant, and also giving him some information. So if you're all willing to, kind of give him a little bit, you can get that bonus and maybe get some more out of him. But you would have to he knows you went out there and then you came back and we know it's sunk. Like, did you come alongside? What did you see? Like, do you suggest anything strange? Like, what can you give him to kind of get this bonus?
It almost took us down with it on the way back out, and I think that might have been our advantage that we did not. We initially were going to tether it. We initially tethered ourselves to the side of it, and then realized that was a terrible idea. Maybe that's why we survived where the other boat didn't.
Ship like that?
Because as soon as the other boat gets broached, because it would have been
Yeah.
on record as having sunk, and like there's sailors that we would have like sort of nominally known. We saw them tethered, but they didn't get out. So like, yeah.
Why were they still tethered? Surely they would have pushed off.
It was rough enough that you could climbing on and off the boat was real dangerous. We reckon pretty candidly they might have failed to get on. It was that bad.
The other boat was in splinters.
And this is all just the storm that hits it. I mean, I heard it went quiet before the storm even came in.
That storm we don't know about before the storm, but that storm was a doozy.
Well,
Kick that fast up.
Go for it.
We read that I believe that like the timeline of that is true before, but with definitely the news comes that way. But the storm might have hit them. They go dark. Then the storm hits us.
Okay. All right, so
Benny,
that
are
is.
you spending 2 points of luck to make it a hard? Because currently it's 2 over your hard.
I think you're okay here. I think if you're
Yeah.
willing to give him a little bit, I don't think I need the hard necessarily.
A bonus takes me down.
You can dance your way through this conversation without mentioning anything culty, and you can also, in doing so, get the impression that's not necessarily what he's pushing for. He doesn't seem to have what about the wizards angle?
Yeah.
He's really
Yeah.
does just seem to be like, this is what everyone's talking about. It'd sure be great if I had the scoop. Not
Okay,
to
yeah.
sell to newspapers or anything necessarily, just like, I want to be the one that's telling the
popularity.
story. It'd be cool that I can mention I met you, and honestly, there's a good chance he probably lies about the story a bit later if you don't give it to him, he'll come up with it, But he'll say he met you and he bought you dinner and wouldn't you believe all this and you can already begin to feel this legend spreading a bit, and they do kind of have a ship and some names to put to it as it begins to grow. You also get the sense that the general understanding of the champagne at the moment, not much has been said, but basically went down in the storm, all hands lost. One ship was sent out, two ships were sent out to liaise with it. Only one managed to come back. The Foggy Sea was not publicly stated to have been that vessel, But it's also still not raised enough. Like, there may still be articles and inquiries and things to happen. So, more on the story as it develops. Jackson.
Well, while I'm not super engaged in the conversation, I'd be inclined to be looking around the room and seeing if anyone is trying to eavesdrop or get in, because we know that us being here and us talking about this is related to the murder that just happened in town. And so any interested party in the murder would also be interested in us. So I want to see if we're being eavesdropped upon.
Yeah.
And see who is interested in the story.
And everyone's
room,
going
if
to be
there's
really
anyone
interested.
else.
Like, everyone's going to be interested, but who is like...
Who's trying not to be interested? Who's pretending not to be interested?
Yeah.
Yeah, who's being weird about it?
So Hodges has chosen a removed space. There's like the door. Sorry, there's like a wall next to you that goes no further, and then there's a couple of booths, and then there's a couple of benches at the bar, and then there's one booth on the other side of you. The other booth on the other side of you, they were curious. They did look over at one point. Hodges politely told them to fuck off. There's a good chance they're still trying to listen in, but you got the sense of just like nosy about the same stuff as anything else. And the people at the bar are all exhausted, sailors and cannery workers that are like falling asleep in their meals and just trying to get through it. But the general sentiment of you guys are outsiders and treated a little bit like curiosities is still present. People are noticing you. Actually, I'm gonna walk that back a little bit. You guys are sailors, and people come and go from here. Any other party would probably be treated a lot more suspiciously and questioned. You guys can, if you want to, kind of just blend in a bit. It's only really when you call attention to yourselves that people notice you. So you get a couple eyes of that's an unfamiliar crew, but it makes sense a fishing vessel will come in here and you're not asking questions about it just yet.
Well, can I try to spot anyone who is being treated about more of an outsider?
Yeah, sure. So at one point, while the food's being served, you step up and head towards the bathroom, and you take the opportunity to walk along the tables. You will get the impression that everyone here is pretty much a local. No outsiders. The bed and breakfast, as Lou says, is currently there's no one else coming and staying there, and this is pretty much the only diner in town. It would seem there's no one here, at least in town, that stands out.
And maybe the sheriff is right in that. What did he say? No one. That there's no reason to believe that the murderer stuck around. Now maybe he's wrong in that the murderer was already here. Maybe the murderer was a local. I'm just thinking to myself. Maybe. I'm not being helpful yet. I'm just spinning.
This is the most. This is like the only diner in town. But for getting supplies, the general store sells groceries and things. So there's a chance that if people are laying low or something, then they might be buying direct. So you can speak with them. Jackson, if you want to, Gaspar, you could speak to Big Tom Anders, who runs the place, because you could ask him if anyone else has been in, past tense and things. Do you want to try and take an opportunity to do that, or do you just want to see who's in here currently? Okay.
Ooh. Not much of a talker. I'm more of a spotter.
Yeah. Well, there's no one in it. No one in here currently. This is going to be you're looking past tense here, or future tense. So, and for that,
sure. I'll just have a casual conversation. Why not?
Okay, all right. You find your way thing, and the service is beginning to wind down. Bernie and Paul are sort of not stringing Hodges along, but getting his value worth while also enjoying dessert.
Obviously, I'm not going to talk about the weird shit because that would just make us look crazy.
Yeah.
But all of the stuff to do with the storm, like the rogue wave, I'll give him a blow by blow of being on the deck of the champagne.
You went onto the champagne. You're telling him that.
I think we'll tell him that, but I'll treat it as a brief. We went up there. It was obviously going down. We got hit by a rogue wave.
Did you see anyone?
Rogue wave came straight at us.
So you saw no one aboard
of the rogue wave. I think once we start talking about this massive wave that nearly washed all of us back overboard, that'll be a nice rich.
You get the priority there.
I won't say it directly.
And suggest that people could have been down in the hold or something, but you don't. He's definitely. This is giving him more. Getting to the point where he came alongside and got on board, and still didn't see anyone really makes this you can actually really see him beginning to lock in a bit. And there's clearly not necessarily holes in your story. He's not approaching this with suspicion, but he's just trying to reconcile it in his head as something suspicious.
I have an idea of a mortar paste for all of this to sort of like put it together, which would be to say, or to like allude, you know, there was a big ship and there's a lot of people, and there, in one way or another, people are going, not independently of us, are going to be asking questions about who did what on the champagne that caused it to go down beyond a storm. Who's liable, who's insurance. There's legal questions, which is why we just have to be a little careful, and that's all. To try and just smooth over why we're being vague on some details, or not like,
He gives you a bit of like, I understand being a little cautious with the law. You never know. I mean, these ships don't just sink. I hear insurance is a hell of a game.
That'd be something.
He'll as Gaspar goes up and does a little investigation, give me a book, Tom. I would say Hodges begins to change tack slightly and starts to just ask a bit about why you're here now. He peppers it with a little bit of like sailor's omens and like where you were previously. There was a bit of a disaster, but it seems playful, not intentional.
Yeah.
And he does mention like the recent murder and sure, strange, more, you know, outsiders coming in. Golden theory, as far as I understand it, is it was drifters that did this.
Were there drifters in town before? Like, how long have you been in port? Did you see anybody hanging around?
Oh, sure, we've been in for a few days, but most folk won't come back down the docks. We get fisher folk all the time coming and going, but no one stays here much long enough, and most people will push off before evening. It's a fine enough harbor, but it's nothing significant, and they, you know, want the comforts of home or a larger port. No one that I've seen myself, but Sheriff's understanding is it was some outsider, and Lyndon, that's our first mate, he's dead set on it. Wants it to, you know, just push all these folks out and get things back to normal. You'll understand that he's not real keen to see yet more coming in, especially after just the other day's unfortunate events.
Like you said, this is not a harbor with a lot of people stick around there after better harbors, right?
That's it. And
you guys seem to be here a lot, though.
Well, sure. I mean, I was born here. It's as good a work as any, and it's nicer to be close to home. He swaps him and his crew being here pretty quickly and tries to move on to another section of the conversation. Did you want to clarify something? Oh,
just because I had a moment to do a quick Google because I was trying to remind myself of something. The Mary Celeste has happened. That was in 1800s, 1870 something. So that's the ship that its entire crew and passengers all disappeared. The ship was just found floating empty, and no one knows what happened to them. So that is a thing that would absolutely.
That's baller. Where did that happen? Is it the UK?
Mary Celeste
sounds English.
Wasn't it? I thought it was a close enough to Bermuda to sort of.
Yeah.
The Mary Celeste was a Canadian-built ship, American registered merchant brigantine that was discovered adrift and deserted in the Atlantic Ocean off the Azores on December 4th, 1872.
That's so sick.
So The original was that the ship had gotten caught by Ottoman pirates and everyone had been killed, but was quickly like, nope, that's not a thing because there was no signs of violence on the ship at all.
Awesome.
So as far as anyone knows, and I don't know when the theories would have come around to maybe they left, they got lost on escape rafts or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, the little line here is cargo of alcohol was intact and the captain's and crew's personal belongings were undisturbed. None of those who had been on board were ever seen or heard from again.
That's
They
crazy.
just disappeared. So there was just a ship floating in the middle of the sea with nobody on it. It fully looks like everyone was just bamped out of existence. And that happened, 1872? That would have been 40 years ago, 50 years ago, our time. So absolutely long enough that people would know about that as a thing and a thing that would have happened within certain people's lifetimes.
Yeah.
These total of pirates.
It is. All right. So given our real world time, I'll just try and tie a bit of a bow around some of these goings-ons. So Hodges, you speak with get a bit of a sense that, get a bit of a sense of him, he gets a bit of a sense of you, and ultimately wrap the dinner up. He does not pay immediately, but leaves it on his tab, of which the bar staff seem, bemused, but not hostile about. It's kind of like he'll get to it when he gets to it, and he will head out. Gaspar, you have a chat with Big Tom Anders, who owns and manages the thing. He's pretty busy, but he's a very friendly person and happy to talk. You'll get a...
How many things can he do at once?
Just the one or two, maybe. He's only got the two hands. He doesn't want to get carried away. And when you talk to him, he's kind of happy to like post up for a bit and chat with you. They run a relatively tight ship, but it's okay if people wait for a moment. When people come in, like visiting family and stuff, they'll definitely stop in here and stay, and they get every now and then folks that come through. Do you have a particular line of questioning, or
I guess my straightforward thing is, where were you on the night of the murder? Heard some interesting things happening the other night. Anything get out of hand around here, or anyone walking around with a big knife or a big sword?
Big knife or a big sword? No.
Well, yeah.
No, nothing like that. I heard about the sheriff's investigation, but fortunate to say none of it touched us. No, I was at home that night, as most every one of us were. My understanding was, I don't know the time of it, but the body was found in the morning. Truth be, if you want to, I think Miss North, the librarian, was the one that actually found the body. I reported it through to the sheriff, but didn't understand he'd been deputizing.
Oh no! I was just come in with the foggy sea there. And,
just curious then, huh?
Just curious about what kind of town I'm walking into. That's all.
Sure, I understand. Well, listen, it's a nasty business, and you'll understand if we're not too keen to dig up all the skeletons that come with it. So we'll leave that to the sheriff, and if he has questions, we'll answer them. But as far as I'm concerned, this is all well and good, and he can conduct his own investigation.
That is incredibly suspicious. I want to try a psychology roll.
Yeah, hit it. Go for it.
Yes.
Well done.
That's the only way you get your points up in this game, is to try things you're kind of bad at.
You genuinely get the impression that he, as an outsider coming in and kind of prying into like the recent awfulness that just happened, he's kind of just like, I don't want to talk about this with you. Send the sheriff. You aren't you are an investigator, but he doesn't know that. You know what I mean? Like he just doesn't want to talk about this. This is a family establishment. We're trying to sell pie. I don't want to talk about murder with you. But what you probably get a little bit is he seems to have given a statement to the sheriff previously. So the sheriff possibly did come in here and ask about drifters or folks coming through, and he probably would have known them. They don't keep books, except for people that have tabs. But maybe there's a tab open from someone. But you'd have to push this here. I'd need a social check or sneaking back after dark or something like that.
And I guess if it was an outsider, bed and breakfast would have a record. But if it wasn't an outsider, more interesting.
The other ones is the general store. Is like the two places to get food will be here for like set meals, and the general store for like just groceries and stuff that you make yourself.
Well, look, I guess I was just wondering if there's anyone in town that we should try to give a wide berth. Should try to steer clear. Anyone in town we should be mindful of. That's all I was trying to think of.
You look like a capable lad. I'm sure you'll be fine. Most danger you're gonna run to is if you run your mouth down by the docks, but those are your people, so I trust you to handle them as well as you can. There's no real risk here. Look, I know Lyndon's pretty, burned up about the whole thing, is pretty keen to get this sorted, so be a little cautious, outsiders as you are, but politeness. And I see you're already chatting with Hodges, so I'm sure that's putting you on the good side. So just maybe don't go around asking folks where they were on the night of the murder, given you don't know who the people are you're asking.
Good man.
Seem like a good kid. And he'll step back and remove himself from the conversation.
Well, all I wanted to get, if I can push the hard success of that psychology, was, does this guy think it was an outsider or someone from in town? But
genuinely, he does seem to be treating you with a little bit of suspicion. You think outsider. Seems to be the kind of going thing. No one's really like pointing at one another. Does seem to be just a suspicion of people coming through. Yeah, given especially the victim was someone that was coming through.
Pirates have swords.
Pirates do have swords.
Yar, pirates.
Second pirate
That's my
theory.
That's my leading theory right now.
Yeah.
No, last time it turned out to be an axe, so that wasn't a pirate. But this time, it's a large double-bladed knife.
Yeah.
That's a sword.
It
if
is
I've ever
a.
heard one.
It is not a
That's a big
traditional
knife.
knife, at least.
What is a sword? If
all right.
not a large double-bladed knife.
The three of you can retire, heading back towards the bed and breakfast. We'll very quickly touch in with Luce and Joe. You guys spend a pleasant evening playing cards and eating takeout food. It's pretty chill. You just talk to him a bit. This being Joe, get the sense that he's got a lot of elements of his life he doesn't really want to get into. He also will ask that he gets relieved at one point to just spend a bit of time ashore, but is in general pretty happy to stay on the boat. He is very much thinking that someone should be on the boat at all times.
Yeah.
You've got private stuff on there, and truth be told, you just don't trust them, the people here. So, especially given the recent events.
I think the line that Luce will probably lean on is that everyone who works on a ship has personal stuff that isn't necessarily anyone else's business, but if something could potentially impact the other people on the ship, it is better for us to know and deal with it together as a crew, and really lean on because our crew at this point, when you work with a crew for long enough, it's not that you're family, but it is that you nah, I got your back. So I kind of want to lean a little bit on, if there is something that comes up and it could put the crew in a dicey situation.
Yep.
We ain't gonna judge you for having lived a life, but we might judge you if you don't tell us when we need to know, is essentially it. Tell us if it becomes important, but your business is your own until that point. And lean a little bit on the protection of the crew is paramount. Including him. This is sort of it's directed at him, but it is Luce is saying that this goes for everyone.
I'd like a social check at this point. Persuade or charm is the friendly thing. I can see an intimidation angle here where you are kind of just saying, if this gets really serious, we're going to need to know, but it does have that would have a hostile threat under it. Otherwise, I can just take it. I think persuasion or charm or something if you want to just try.
I mean, if I'm going with either of them, charm is the higher of the base skill.
So give it a whack.
But I'm happy to give you a
He's
a
not
persuade or
prone to opening up, and this is kind of asking him to a bit. This give it a whirl.
Are you wanting charm or persuade?
I think charm works if it's the high. Yeah, that's fine. This is trying to reach him on a level.
Look, we'll see.
Holy shit.
Hell yes, the crit.
Wow. Well,
Charming.
all
Do I
right.
get-
Bite of the burger.
Do I
and
get
goes,
to-
"It's the best food I've ever had.
Do I get to add it? Is there a rule where we if you get a
I
crit,
think
you add
we've
something?
rolled it at a D10.
Jesus, okay.
That's crazy. Okay.
Apparently, Luce is suddenly.
Greased with
Actually,
burger.
is it possible?
Near-death experience has made her a lot warmer.
Yeah, and if it's charming, then I think there was an element of maybe that could have been seen, but it is. I think it's Luce is coming at it from an angle of, I'm not gonna say your family because that is a decision that you make about the crew, but if you want a crew of people who will look out for you, you can have that here. But and we're not gonna judge you if there's things that you need to tell us to keep yourself and us safe.
Okay.
So it's less of a threat and more of a I'm opening the door for you to have a safety net, and
Yep.
I'm getting the vibe that maybe you haven't had one of those in a while.
I'm gonna
With the
ask for.
crit, he says,
I'm gonna
"It
ask
started
for-
with my mother."
I'm gonna ask for amnesty. You hear?
Right?
I want what's said now to be understood. so that the risk goes no further, but it's private.
You have my word that if this doesn't go any further than me, and if it does need to go further than me, I will let you know, but I will not speak it myself.
Just between
As in,
us.
and when I say further, I mean to the captain. Like if you tell me something that the captain needs to know about, I will tell you that the captain needs to know. I will not tell the captain. You have my word.
I don't want to be talking to the sheriff. I don't want to get wrapped up in anything legal. I don't want too many questions. You understand, Evans ain't exactly the name I was born with, and it ain't exactly the one I plan to have forever. I'm planning to lay low for a little while and hope the past don't catch up with it. No one was hurt by what I did. Only people's dollars and the goods I moved, but there was risk to it and I accepted that. Risk got called in and now I gotta live a different life for a little while. Done it for a few years, hopefully not too many more. I ain't gonna tell you my true name. Evans will suffice, as I said, but one day, understand, I'll thank you and Bernie for your service. I'll say goodbye to this here ship and you won't ever see me again. But until then, I'm part of this crew. You have my loyalty. I'll do everything I can, because I value privacy too, see, and I don't want anyone rooting around in my bunk any more than I want them rooting around in yours. So you leave me here, I'll make sure no one else comes on this ship. But let's just keep the law away, where we can.
Smuggler.
I think that sounds like a mighty fine deal to me, Evans. Pocket aces.
He scoops the cards and begins to shuffle. He will set himself to playing solitaire as you rejoin the rest and head towards the bed and breakfast. A knock on the door will find it opened. You can be led into your rooms with only a few passive-aggressive comments. And finally, you can each find some rest. Night falls.
It's probably like 8 p.m. Come on.
It's the middle of the night. It may as well be. Or it may as well be the middle of the night.
What would be an appropriate thing? Can I have had the diner make up like a takeaway coffee or a takeaway like I don't know if herbal tea is something that even exists at this point
you can
in
ask.
time.
Yeah, like a tea.
We're a fishing vessel.
And
We've
like
got some interesting stuff from around the country. Maybe we bring her like something that we've just got on board that's, maybe
whatever
we're in
whatever it
unusual
is.
ports, maybe we bring her some nice tea. Like a tea that we picked up in Boston from someone, I think it would be smart for a group of people who are in a different port every week to have a couple of things you can use as gifts to smooth things over.
Yeah,
with the
for sure.
locals.
Whatever it is, Luce just like knowing the conversation that we had will be like, at a minute, we bring some kind of offering to be like, we're so terribly sorry to disturb you. And even when she's like, that's fine, we're like, but we shouldn't have, and like, absolutely, and kind of like, that weird thing where everyone is essentially saying, I want this, we know you want this, but we're both gonna deny that like,
yep.
It's...
No, you pay the bill. No, I'm gonna pay the bill. Don't you dare get your wallet out.
That's it.
I'm paying. I'm paying.
She doesn't quite do that. She takes it and says, it's so nice to see a value put to my sleep. This is very pleasant to receive. Takes you in, and then we'll head back to bed. She's perfectly friendly throughout all of it, just perfectly happy speaking her mind. Night falls, and the patter of raindrops sound on the roof above. One way or another, you find yourselves to restless sleep. And that is where we will leave this first session of the second chapter of the Order of the Stone.
Can I clarify one last thing, because I will forget it if not?
You can, yeah.
It'll just take one sentence. In the newspaper, it says secluded field. You described windows looking in.
There's no heckin' way that's secluded.
Yeah, okay. So there's, and it's an Arkham article that was written about Greyport. So just, that's a thread to pull on. Great, thank you.
It's towards the back, and come morning, it would have been dark, lighter on the inside of things. Depends on when this happened. But yeah, no, it's a bit of a thoroughfare. You kind of have to skirt through fences, but people use it pretty regularly. Yeah, that's true.
Right.
I had something I very briefly wanted to clarify as well, which is the first mate, Lyndon, is the vibe that we're getting from that conversation that he is insistent that the murderer be brought to justice, or is he more insistent that the murderer is still in town? Like, he doesn't think that it's an outsider.
I'm
Or
not sure
does he
you
think that it's an
fully.
outsider?
Outsider.
I'm not sure you fully. I'll kind of leave you to draw your own conclusions on that for now. I think I'm not going to clarify too much. You can try and
No,
speak with
that's
him or
fine.
ask him around a bit
I
more.
thought that it had been a bit more clarified in the conversation, and I just
You've gotten slightly different points from different people. He definitely seems angry about the whole thing. You're not exactly sure what action he's going to take.
Yeah, it seems to me that he's angry that the cops are here at all and looking into the town at all, and I suspect that's because, based on old mate's deflection at dinner, that the reason that one very nice ship is always here and always going up to the cannery, I'm thinking there's bootlegging going on, and they just want the interest in this town to go away.
Possibly. Very possibly. Alright. Well, we will leave our session there, so thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you to the cast for playing. This will all be hosted up on the YouTube imminently, like Wednesday or something. And we'll be back next week to resume the chapter, continue the story, and we do so hope we'll see you there. Ciao.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks for keeping.
Jen.
Thank you. Bye.